Hello, everybody. How you all doing today? Welcome to our YouTube channel. We are the Common Sense Sisters, and it's another Saturday. This is the second live show in today.
On April 2nd, 2022, second live show. We're waiting for people for the first live show. Please refresh
your page.
Come and join us.
Second service of Common Sense. Okay. If you're meeting us for the first time, we are the Common Sense Sisters. My name is Yo-Yo.
My name is Ella.
Yes, to all the new members, the new squad members, you are highly welcome. To the returning squad members, you are welcome. We appreciate you and we thank you for all your contribution on this platform. So before we get to the topic of today,
thank you, Annie.
This is what you spend this
Saturday. Comments.
What is doing us? Yori. Oh, yori. Thank you, Annie. Now we know for Annie to show up, it means we are really live.
Yes,
and they are hearing us. So let's go to the regularly scheduled announcement for those who are meeting this platform for the first time.
For the first time, again, for this story is very, very touchy. So normal thing to be respectful, be open-minded, stay on topic, don't use bad words. Subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell so you always get notified whenever we post our videos, whenever we go live, and all that good stuff. Okay? And then if you're new to the channel, you can visit the About page to learn about the Common Sense Sisters and the Common Sense Squad. Our community page is regularly updated whenever we're going live. Anything that is going on, we spread it with the community. And then finally, our playlist is filled with different videos for you to binge watch and watch the ads while you are at it. Pata of them all is our different social media platforms.
Everywhere you go.
We are Common Sense Sisters everywhere, spreading the Common Sense gospel.
This was you took the pool earlier. This is not the reality of the
It was before the first live show. This was it. It was.
Hey, there are many people that voted more than this.
17 people. So this is the second live show. The first one we talked about was Egyptian Prince, with another story. And this is the second one, which is about,
a
useless mother.
We're coming for the useless mothers today.
We're coming for two useless mothers today.
Yeah.
We're just the first person
to
be dragged in this case.
This story is very painful. It's very, very touchy. So we encourage everyone who will be listening right now to brace yourself for whatever you're going to listen to. May touch you in certain ways, but difficult topics we must address as Common Sense Sisters. And it says, my African mother allowed my French teacher to rape me. So we are going to be telling the story right away. It's from somebody from the streets of Instagram. Right? So we'll start telling the story right away.
Okay, give me a second.
Ella, can you take us there?
Oh yeah. You want me to read it? I can read it.
I can read it if you want.
So, give me 1 second.
As Ella is trying to figure it out, because she's supposed to have arranged the story according to others. So I think
why this thing did this to me today.
She's figuring the
okay,
thing out.
I have it now. Okay. So this story was from Instagram, and I think the person shared their story with Diary of a Nigerian Girl back in 2020. And we'll start with the story now. So he says, "Hello, Ife. I hope you read." Wait, give me 1 second.
Don't you have it on your phone?
I can't see this thing clearly. 1 second.
Anyways, I think Ella is trying to figure out where to read this, where she's reading it from her phone, because it's not really clear on the screen.
It's not clear there.
So just give us like a few minutes and we'll be able to get the screenshots of the story from the phone to read it. Okay?
So he says, "Hello, Ife. I hope you read this and keep me anonymous if you decide to share. The story of the woman whose son committed suicide moved me so much, so I have decided to write to you. This is my first time of talking about this to anyone. I am 36 years old. I had my first child at 14. I was raped by my private French teacher. I was a child and above average IQ, which transported me faster in my education. At 13 years, I was already in SS2 at Corona. The French I was studying privately was to aid my communication with my family when we moved to France later that year. My French teacher raped me on the day I was alone with him, and the maid was also at home, but she was at her quarters. As the assault went on, it felt like hours. I told my mother immediately she got back home. The teacher was found the next day and he denied it all. He said there was a boy in the estate that came to the house when nobody was looking. My mom gave me a couple of morning after pills and even asked me to lie to the priest about it anytime I went for confession. To summarize all of these, I got pregnant, I had the child in Nigeria, we left her with my grandmother, and my family moved to France. I would ask her for my daughter, that is, she would ask her mother for her daughter, to speak with the daughter, but I was always told I needed to focus on school. I spoke to her first when she was 10 years old and maintained a relationship with her. She wasn't one to talk much, but I enjoyed her brilliant mind. I came to see her physically for the third time before the COVID lockdown, only to find out my grandmother would normally insult her with how she was born. This had been going on for years. I refused to repeat the words. If I knew how bad she took it, I would have done something. She committed suicide on the 11th of April 2020. I found her in the room where I went to call her to go for the usual morning walks. She had taken dozens of sleeping aid. I haven't thought too far about how to deal with this. I am still in Nigeria. I can't move. I don't want to do it. I can't go and visit her resting place. I have been stuck in this same spot since then. Maybe after writing this, just maybe I'll take the first step to understanding what is happening with me. Thank you all for your patience. I just couldn't see that thing earlier on.
So a lot of comments are coming in back to back. I see everybody's joining in.
And let's see who has come. Hi, Jovestina.
Hi.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael. Is what over? Waiting to do.
Michael,
we're looking for it.
Yeah.
It's over.
I think Eunice was saying something.
Well, Eunice is here. Let's see Eunice.
Hey, Eunice. What a sad story. Yeah. How does a mother not take legal action, but instead condone abuse on her own blood? Yeah. Yep. That's the sad thing.
That's the story number 1 for today.
That's very sad. I thought it was in this same story that she had the voice note.
No. That's story number 2.
That's story number 2.
So in summary, for those who are just joining us, I see that we're in prison. This first story is about a girl, or was about a girl who is now an adult. She was raised by her private lesson. So if you're in Nigeria, maybe during your time as in secondary school or whatever, you had lesson teachers, private lesson school teachers. So she was studying French for the purpose of her family moving abroad to France. And her mother employed this French teacher to be teaching her French. The man took advantage of her and raped her during one of their lessons. Unfortunately, the house help who was at home was in her own house maid's quarters. So she could not hear what was going on. When this girl told her mother what happened, the mother believed, because that's what I want to say, that she instead of protecting her daughter and believing her child, she listened to what the French teacher had to say, because the French teacher lied and said it's a boy, another boy who is always coming to the house when nobody is looking.
At home.
If nobody's at home and nobody's looking, how do you know?
French teacher of doom.
The mother gave this her 13-year-old child an abortion morning after pills and told her to lie in confession with the priest.
So Catholics, they go for confession, and so when you go for confession, you're not supposed to say, "Oh, she should not account this one as sin."
As a sin. I feel like what does that even have to do with the harm that
my own is the role of the mother
to your child? And then she proceeds to still get pregnant after this evil event as a 13-year-old child. She gives birth, and then they leave her child with her grandmother, who proceeds to be maltreating her great-grandchild for 10 years.
Yeah.
So this is like
until
intergenerational trauma of women.
Yeah. Until the great-grandchild
took her own life.
Killed herself. 10-year-old girl killed herself. Yeah, it is crazy, Michael. It is crazy. When we come, last week, or was it last week? I forget the weeks now.
Many weeks.
We came here to drag some useless African fathers. When we talked about a endurance story of how his father had pushed him to go to Libya to suffer. This story Now it's about the useless, because there are some good African mothers. If this thing is paining you as a mother, it means if it's paining you that you think that you are coming for certain people, then madam, be checking yourself. Because as a mother, your child tells you that because your goal of going to France and speaking French is higher than the highest, you don't trust your child. As a mother, if you allow your if your children can smell it or feel it that their parents don't trust them, not talk of their mother, you don't believe them, their story, then they lose their voice. Number one. Then number two, French teacher is telling you that is the boy that usually comes to the house
when nobody's looking.
When nobody's looking.
If nobody's looking, how are you seeing?
Baba French teacher. I be French teacher now. They carry camera up and down.
I don't know.
Yes, and you're right.
If that child was 10 years old at 2010, then it means that the rape probably occurred in as 2020. It means rape probably occurred in 2010. Before the girl and her family moved abroad.
Yeah, or 2009. Yeah. Fact. Because I don't know why you will not interrogate, investigate. You will not protect your child. Protect your innocent child. Then you go ahead to manipulate her. African parents, many of them are religiosity want to kill them. Their common sense.
Like what the hell does a priest confession have to?
Why are you telling your child? Then you give your child money after pill.
Your 13-year-old.
Why will you tell your child, right? Why will you tell your child that when they go for confession, they should lie?
They should lie to the priest. As if it's her that committed sin.
This useless mother of doom. This useless mother of doom obviously wants to take the manipulation to another level. Another level. Then the useless grandmother of the great-grandmother of the child decides to keep telling this child how the child was born. Whenever the young girl that was raped wants to talk to her own child, her grandmother will be preventing her from talking to her. Up to the extent that this 10-year-old child had to go and kill herself. This is a useless woman that should be shamed publicly.
And Eunice is right. The 13-year-old was brave enough to disclose. Yes.
Thank you.
When we say people are not speaking up, This one was speak up now. The mother hen, who is a demon, did not listen to her daughter.
A witch.
You took your child, you just gave her money after. And now you say she took her to the hospital to conduct some tests. Then you say she should be lying in confession. For priests, another human being,
another
man,
because priest is another man.
Because priest is God Himself. And even if she was going to confession, this is not her sin.
Yes,
this is not her sin.
Because the woman probably know that in the confession, the daughter will speak the truth.
Yes. You
a useless woman.
They say it's because she's processing papers to France. No, you wait for your child to even give birth. Because you know, say if you carry your leg go French embassy with a pregnant 13-year-old,
you will answer question. Yes,
they will ask you because you is negligence. On the mother's part.
Then there's separation where she separated that 13-year-old girl from her child
for 10 good years. When she's finally started establishing relationship with her child, the girl could not hold it anymore. She go kill herself.
You are welcome back.
Yes, so
you see the matter with this, you see the matter where with this.
I see the matter. You know what I see for here now? Generational issues. Because maybe now the great grandmother na can kukuma frustrate the young child on her life. So there's self-hatred going on in this family, and it is foundational and it goes deep. First of all, the girl mama does not love herself, and we need to question her own whether she even dey happy with the girl papa. She not like her pikin. She does not have love for her child. That love that she does not have comes from a deeper place. That means she doesn't even love herself, and she probably doesn't even love the man that she had child for. She does not love the man that she gave birth to this girl that had another child. She does not. Maybe she was forced into her marriage. You know, there's so many issues that we're seeing. A lot of times, these things happen. And I've seen it even growing up where parents don't like their children. And then when you look deeper, you can't realize, say, the mother was either forced, or she just did not like the man that, her mother told her to marry, or pressure got her to marry, whatever the scenario was. So there's a deeper issue than this. The love she does not have for herself is what she extended to her child and eventually to her grandchild. Unfortunately, these things happen more than we think because of the type of society we come from. That whole culture of silence, you silence every bad thing, everything that is unheard, they sweep it under the carpet. You must not talk, you must not say this, is unbecoming, it's unheard of, don't say this, don't talk like this, don't do it like that. This is why that child, she just felt there was no way out. Let her just kukuma live, because there was a constant reminder to that young innocent soul that she was not wanted, and they did not want her to be here. There was a constant reminder. There's a deep-seated wickedness and evil that had eaten deep into generations. There's no other explanation for this. In this scenario, I feel sorry for the mother, the grandmother, even though as bad as it sounds, and I know I don't have it, but I have to say this is where the problem is. And this is why I'm shouting that people need to take the responsibility of working on themselves by themselves. Nobody is going to help you get to that place. You have to. It's a personal and individual work, because you won't even know. There are certain things that you're carrying that you don't even know you're carrying. If you're not doing the work constantly, the way it will come up, the day that something will trigger it, and you'll be amazed how you react to it, So what I see here is very sad, it's depressing, unfortunately. It's I'm sorry for using that word. I think that's a trigger word. But
Nobody is sorry for their opinion for you. Please speak your truth.
The word itself, depressing, that make me the talk.
It is depressing.
So
please speak your truth, because it's in your truth that people connect with you.
Yeah. So it's very depressing, because that's what I see in this scenario. The fact, say, she could not even she told her mother, and her mother silenced her. That means to her mother too has been going through a history of silencing herself.
She's maybe the mother just does not want anything to harm her. For example,
her goal of going to France.
As the woman is also, as they said, she should not say anything to the Catholic priest. Then it means the mother is probably a member of CWO, Catholic Women Organization.
It's possible. Yeah.
So if your 13-year-old child is pregnant and you're a CWO member, it's like, madam, what were you doing now? You're picking up as at 2009. So it could be for her own
personal name.
Her own personal name.
He may not be going through any trauma. You know how they do it in Nigeria. When you know how they do it in Nigeria, where like people, don't bring shame to the family.
Don't bring shame to hey, that's what I was.
I understand, but where that one they come from now? If you know, we think
now percentage society
no, they say don't disgrace the family, don't bring bad name to the family. Now from culture of silencing now, when you say don't bring shame, when you see some people when they say that maybe they get belly when they're young, right? They'll come the family, right? The family don't shout, don't bring shame. What it makes some people they unalive themselves when they go try remove them by themselves. Now this culture of silencing, of not wanting to put shame. And again, if you look you go realize, say, the woman, the mama herself, don't go through something for her life in her journey. They don't tell her, say, don't bring shame, right?
Because if the great grandmother is punishing the great granddaughter,
you don't get them. You don't get them. So now you get the mathematics. Now 1 + 1 is equals 2 is equals exactly. That's what's happening. So can you imagine imagine I had a grandmother growing up. My grandmother, there was no wrong I could do. My grandmother, anything I do was fun to her. Even if I pour water for mama go they shout. My grandma said, leave her. I beg now, small pikin, leave her for me. Grandmother sweet, okay, but for her own grandmother, so that tells you what her own mother went through. Imagine the level of wickedness. Imagine what her own pikin go through for her hand. You see control, you see the level of wickedness, and exactly. That now that's unfortunate. That small girl I can suffer.
So generations of women.
For people who are just coming, right? Oh my yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. For people
No
who
worries.
are just coming, let's summarize the story again. This is real life story. So once upon a time, there was this there's this young lady. It's from a family where they are on a journey. They want to migrate to France from Nigeria, right? So the mother employed a French lesson teacher to be coming home to teach her daughter French, the 13-year-old daughter French. And then they had a maid also in the home, but the maid was staying in maid quarters, so outside the main house. While this French teacher was teaching this 13-year-old girl, he raped the 13-year-old girl. The 13-year-old girl got pregnant. The 13-year-old girl voiced to her mother that this man has taken advantage of her. So
immediately,
she didn't even wait.
Because that's why the mother gave her morning after pill.
Instead of this useless mother to take this girl to the hospital, let them do some tests, arrest that man. This woman decided to give her 13-year-old daughter morning after pill, and went ahead to tell the 13-year-old daughter that when she goes to church for confession, Catholic church, they do this confession to the priest. She should not say this thing that happened. They waited until she gave birth to this child. Obviously, the morning after pill did not work.
And the French teacher had told them that when the mother called the French teacher said that there's a boy that usually comes to the house when nobody is looking.
Yes, that's very good.
Yeah.
So it's more like
the mother believes
the French
teacher over her daughter.
That's number one mistake. Number two mistake is giving her the morning after pill, not protecting her, not protecting the daughter. Number three is telling her that when she goes before a priest, she should not say the truth. She should lie. Okay. Then number four, they allowed her she had that child. Then number five, they took the child away from her and gave the child to the 13-year-old grandmother, which means the girl's mother's mother.
So she's now the great grandmother of the evidence.
Yeah. And then flew to France, migrated to France with the family and this 13-year-old girl. Every time this 13-year-old girl will try to establish relationship with her child, the child always has this trauma that is being replayed every time in front of her by her great grandmother.
And so the 13-year-old girl was not allowed to speak to her daughter. 10 years after she came to Nigeria and established a relationship with the daughter, they used to go on morning runs together. One fateful day, when the mother went to go and check to see if they can go on the run, she found out that her daughter had taken pills, a lot of pills,
10-year-old girl,
which has obviously killed her. And before the girl died, obviously, she suffered from trauma because her great-grandmother was always reminding her of all the
how she was conceived.
So that's the general gist of what happened. I hope people who are joining us now, you can.
But
there was no therapy.
See, even if there's no therapy, there's something called. I don't know, why does wickedness multiply? Why is there people that have gone through pain? And I don't want to hear hurt people, please. Because happy people know they spread.
People were also hot. And it's always women. How can you great grandmother suffer your child, suffer your great grandchild, suffer your grandchild?
It's a toxic culture where if you have generations of people that had not had the opportunity to speak their mind, they're always being shut down. You can't say what you really want to say. Your emotions become stunted. You can't express when you're angry. They tell you, don't say it like that. Even if you are angry, say it like this. You are consistently making adjustments. You are you are not free. You are trapped. Okay, so those emotions become how they talk the big word, convoluted or whatever, right? You can't stay inside, they squishy, right? So for most of these people, right, it go continue for their there's a tendency for it to continue because that's all they know. That's the only way they can express themselves. You they see them as, oh, why are these people like this? Why are they wicked? Why are they mean? They know they see them like that too. If you sit them down, talk to them, they go justify why they do what they do. Because they've had years of suppression going on on the inside. There's an inner turmoil. They don't even know where to start. They're not used to expressing themselves, so they don't know how to. So
And
the
they
only way
for that just inflict that pain on somebody else, because
exactly, that's the only way they can get exactly. And it feels good to them. So when they
Yes,
see
that's
someone
a
else,
wickedness on top of trauma. Okay.
exactly. So it's from a very, very deep place, and that's why you see, say the great grandmother did not see anything wrong with that, because the great grandmother possibly went through some level of trauma herself. So to her, normal, to her, the problem has been solved. If you sit down and ask them now, they'll say, after all, in her mind, that girl was not, she's not supposed to be here anyway. If to say not be this unfortunate incident. They not see him. Thank you. You don't talk and finish.
Okay, so let's thank you so much, Omoye. See why they like to ask questions, because I feel like that's the question some people want to be asking. Jay.
So we'll hear from Jay. After Jay, we narrate the second story. Because this is about in fact, this video we should have even named it generational trauma of women, because the second story is also about
rename after
women and things. So
Jay, after your points, then we'll say the second story.
Yeah, so this is just a horrible story. And people, all of the adults have failed, both the 13-year-old and the child that ended up taking her life. Like, I don't even know where to begin. But just on Omoye's point, before we move on to the next story, is that that generational trauma, or that generational, I don't even know what to call it, is so prevalent. But then also there's also that aspect of our society, and I think one of you touched on it earlier, is people parents or people are more concerned about how society perceives them, and they put that over and above their own welfare, talk less of their children's welfare. Because I've had situations in my own personal life where my parents are pushing for something to happen, or for somebody to do something, and I'm like, dude, like, you're doing this at your own expense. Your own expense, but you are more comfortable doing that because you're so afraid of what people will say. And I think that mentality is steeped into our culture that I don't even know where we can even begin to unravel that, because for you to be able to put your public reputation or your public perception over the need of your child is something that till tomorrow I cannot wrap my mind around. But maybe when we get to the next story, I'll touch on a little bit of my own experience when it comes to, like, this whole generational trauma, and like how it's more common than you think. And people need to really, really, really do the work before they even think of having children in the first place. But anyway, let's just move on to the next story.
Thank you so much, Jay. Jay, you are really a future seer.
Yeah,
Jay,
they see into the future.
I don't talk and say Jay, they get access to our notes, but I don't know how she hacks into the system yet. But make they go with the next story.
Yeah, the next story is brace yourself for the next story, because
I think most of these evils are 80%. Exactly.
Well, a lot of them are wickedness.
Perception, witches in disguise. Which people they disguise to the mothers.
So the next story is this next story is different. Daughter kills herself after her mother accused her of stealing. Let us listen attentively.
Yeah, and this thing really happened. We will be playing the voice notes too of the girl. It was her final voice note before she took her life. So we will play her. It's muted. All right, let's start. Can you see it?
Yeah. So on the 15th of March 2021, I found out about the most disturbing news. A close friend of mine took her life. It was the unbelievable, because she was literally fine the night before, posting about Grammys, only to find out she was dead some hours later. She killed herself. This is the most vibrant person I have ever known. What happened? Almost no one could answer the question at the time, and most of us just seemed to assume it was depression, and she was just masking it with a smile. I have known her for a long time, and even with I've known her for a long time, and even with personal issues, it never got so bad that she would actually take her own life. I found it too hard to believe. So I did some digging to the best of my abilities. I discovered it wasn't entirely depression, it was family issues and ultimately emotional abuse that pushed her off the edge. I was able to get some chats before the family seized her phone. Chats between her and her mother. Apparently, her grandmother accused her of taking a large amount of money which she had nothing to do with. She pleaded with them of her innocence, and it seemed it had been happening for a while, but no one believed her. I will attach the screenshot below. She was reaching her breaking point due to the constant emotional abuse from her family. They threatened to arrest her for a crime she didn't commit. She reached her limit and reached out to them one last time, but all they did was more threats and emotional and mental abuse. She bought Snapper. Snapper is like a rat poison. Snapped the picture of the snapper and told them of what was coming. They didn't seem to care. She took her life over something that could have been avoided. I'm posting this because I have been seeing strange comments regarding her death. Stop your speculation. So I think people were speculating rumor. And this poster said, I also want to raise awareness on the effects of words of family members, especially parents and guardians. My friend died because she was bullied by her own family so much that she felt alienated. If you can't be kind, don't have kids. Stop bringing children to the world to suffer. Parents should learn how to show their children love and affection. Most times, parents care only about the physical and not mental health. Below is the chat with her mother.
So we have the chat on here. They might not be clear for you also to see, but Yo-Yo would see if she can read. So this
Yeah.
was the girl's last chat to her mom.
Yeah, so these were the last chat before the girl took her life. The girl said, I'm going to buy Snapper. And then her mother was like, you said you did not take the money. So why killing yourself?
Meaning that the mother knew that the daughter was suicidal.
Yeah. So the mother knew. Yeah. So and then the girl said, because I can't suffer for what I didn't do. Because remember, they are threatening to arrest her. And I cannot suffer for what I didn't do. And the girl is saying that, talk to me, pick my call before I do this. She's telling her mother. Her mother now said, you are with the money. The girl was like, okay. And the mother said, I swear, if you don't talk, I won't come for you. If they pick me up, I swear, if you don't talk, I won't come for you. I won't come for you, they pick me up. You are so wicked. So this is the mother talking to the daughter and telling the daughter that I'm begging you, talk to me now. So that we know what to do, right?
And so the daughter bought the snapper and she sent her mother the picture that she was going to take the snapper right now.
The girl said, before we play the video, the girl said, I have never felt love in this family, not once. Throughout my whole life, it's been me struggling with everything. It all ends now. Since when you that my mother doesn't believe me, and when I say I didn't do something, I am sorry for all the troubles I have caused you. I hope all of you find peace with yourselves. And the mother said, send to her, not me. I don't know who the mother was referring to.
Send it to your grandmother.
Like send it to your grandmother. The mother also told her that you are not a good child. Lies is too much, or something, that the girl lies too much.
And then we'll read the girl's suicide notes, and then we'll play
the video,
her
voice notes. So this is the girl's suicide note. This is the notes she wrote before she took her life. She said, last note, my whole life I have been looking for closure in every single thing I can get. Friends, activities, and whatever. It's just never enough. I have never felt any genuine love from family or happiness. It's always me struggling, like I have to work to get my rights. I have to do something in order to get something in return. I know I'm not perfect. I have made mistakes, and one single mistake I made is what they are using against me right now. I feel so anxious, and I can't help it. I have been sitting on the edge my whole life, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. I can't do that anymore. I'm grateful for all the ones that have genuinely loved me, and I'm sorry to the ones I would affect by doing what I'm about to do, but I really need this peace.
So yours, give me a minute. I will go and We'll share our screen now, and because we have to share the screen in order to be able to get the video file.
So 1 second while we share the screen.
Okay, found it. I think everybody should be able to see it now. That's good. Okay. And we'll go to the voice notes.
Mommy, you want me to lie against myself for what I did not do? No problem, no need for you to. No, don't pick anybody up. I've already bought the sniper. No problem. Goodbye.
So yeah, that was the last.
So that was our last statement
Sadly.
and last voice note, sadly. And then she took the snapper and she died.
She killed herself. I know that stuff. So yeah, I think I have it done.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the end of the story.
Let's see what the community is saying.
Remy, welcome. Welcome.
Eunice is saying something.
Can you guys hear us?
Can you hear us?
I don't know if you can hear us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Eunice is saying something. I have older senior family members who take every family matter before the clan. Public perception is huge in Africa. Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah. And Eunice is saying, my heart bleeds for her. She actually sounded more mature and smarter than her mother. She acknowledged that she's not perfect. What a painful story. Another generational thing, no?
And this is a game in between women.
Mothers, I'll be saying, prove it to me, do it to yourself. This girl was begging. Mommy, pick my call. Mommy, pick my call. Mommy, pick my call. Let me talk to you. Useless African mother. Wicked woman. And the thing is that, the painful thing is that, and there's some people you see that they are smiling, they're just trying to exist. She said, I've been on the edge. So she has been depressed. Imagine that you're staying in a house, your mother keep, what is that thing? Gaslighting you. They keep gaslighting you, telling you that because the mistake you made, and they are using it against you every time.
Annie, I see what Annie is asking. Annie is asking a question about, is it possible, she wants to see from a different angle, is it possible that the girl has been stealing in the past, but always lies about it? So
no,
there is
it's not
something,
possible because it's not
even only once. Let me share the screen again because there was something that they wrote on there. So if you see at the end, yours might not see it now. But at the end, the person who was telling the story started that they started sharing the story because of the conspiracies they were hearing about the girl's death. At the bottom of there, she said, I didn't add that the money wasn't physical. It was transactional, so via online transfer, and the owner of the money is abroad. So, and the friend was in Nigeria. So how can it be that she'll be able to gain access to online transfer
when she's like Nigeria?
So it's like, the accusation itself
doesn't make sense.
Because if you say somebody stole money and it's online that the money movements happened, you should be able to prove online because it would have entered someone's account.
Exactly.
But to go on and say you want to threaten your child that you're going to bring a police to come and
arrest her.
Your child has told you repeatedly that she's not the one that stole this money. And mind you, she shared, thankfully, with this her friend, some of her struggles that she's had with her family, with her family members. She also said it, even saying to her mother of how she has never felt welcomed in the family. So this is like the heights. She told her mother, pick your call. Perhaps if the mother had picked her call and said, my daughter, calm down, I will listen to you or whatever.
Like wire transfer.
This girl would not wire transfer. How can you?
How can she be
if
the one
somebody
that
is
stole
wiring,
wire transfer?
it's not cash. The money is not cash. You know, so that's one thing. But you knew your daughter was suicidal, and
they lack compassion and empathy in Africa. They lack
exactly.
They don't even people. People would have passed through the same trauma in Nigeria. They will still judge.
Yes, yes, I agree with that completely. And again, it boils down to self. At the end of the day, no love here. And again, people, Nigerians, they like to born plenty children when if you take care of, they not get enough love for. I don't understand why people, you don't love the person you're with. You don't want to have, but still yet, as they say in Nigeria, still yet you have children, and then you bring them into the world, you frustrate the life out of them. This thing has been, you know how long this thing has been happening? I literally grew up with people that I have a friend who had her mom passed away when they were very young. The father remarried like quickly. The stepmother, oh my God, maltreated my friends and her siblings. My goodness. The stepmother used to call then the police to arrest those children. It took my dad and a couple of other people's parents to intercede on. They would leave these children without food, without clothes. I'm telling you, school, they will refuse. If it wasn't for the grandmother that was paying for their school fees, the father was not willing. The man did not raise one, he did not look. Whatever the stepmother did was okay. Those children went through a lot. Thank God they did not choose to, exit life, because if they had done that, they would have been well within their rights. Those people, those are people that I know I saw with my own eyes, and I grew up with. Traumatic experience. The only place they found solace was in their friends' houses, in my house, and then in other people's houses that they had friends. Then they had friends that were like father figure. My dad was like a father figure to them, and all of that. If not, those children would not have lasted. They grew up in very violent and very malicious background. So I could have seen this type of thing playing out in their lives as well. Unfortunately, it keeps happening because there's a lot of women with no self-love, nothing whatsoever. So they just marry because it's the next thing to do, pressure, whatever. Then they enter the thing and then have children. Back to back, like five of them. You don't love any one of them. You don't like your children, so you will smack them, insult them with all the heavy insult in this world, and then you frustrate them, emotionally stunt them. Man, it's sad, but it's a reality.
Have you also noticed this thing that apart from even the normal Christian thing, when they will say Christian mothers preaching goodness, their children, have you noticed that the average Black or African mother does not speak in reality positivity to their child? Like they're always cursing.
Yeah.
Sing out.
And they won't put their sticky mouth to say, "I'm the one that can bless you." Mama, Grace,
use words like I
brought this blessing from somebody that curses people.
I brought you into this life. I will
take you out of this world.
Look at you, useless like your father's people. You are
very
they never ever.
There's no love from their mouth.
For the most part, you want people being now, like they come to the child's level. Even if the child upset them or something, you try to but in Africa, it's always straight as you are beating the best
because there's no self-love. Look, see as our society be. We sit down think this matter. Let's reason it together. Look, if to say self-love, do you think the society will be this bad? In no go they this bad.
Yeah.
With all the drama when they go on in different parts of the communities for that country. Yes. Why be say people never rise? Like, okay, typical example. Now that's a small boy now when they're just on a life for that secondary school. When people see allow their children go back to that school. When they fight for that Peking, how many people come out? This is what I'm talking. There's no self-love. It starts from self until we begin to understand that. Until we begin to understand that self-love is number one, first of all, and then erase all those lines when they don't draw for all the people for Nigeria. You are from this side, you are from that side, you don't speak my language. Until they start to remove those layers, the problem will persist. I'm sorry to say. It is the ones that will now say, no, I choose different, that will be making small difference, but it go take a while. So I understand. Do you think just happened to this girl? Unfortunate as it seems, she's not the only one. There was one, I think it was last year. This girl, beautiful girl, model. She was modeling. I think she's from a very, her father is a big preacher. Thank you. When she on her life, because her father was abusing her.
Yes, I remember that story.
Yeah, we remember.
Exactly. It's lack of in the world, animals don't even do that to themselves.
Animals don't do that.
Exactly. Then your own child from your own loin, you choose to to me, I don't understand that level of mind or madness that people just feel it is normal. And guess what? They will quell it. That kind of thing comes out on social media like that. The society should be on fire with people every corner attacking. No, everybody keeps quiet. Look at the recent incident that happened. Everybody said it is maddening to me. So this is why we go talk. Of course, now when we know, now when we get power reach, we go do reach. But we can't keep quiet about it. We need to be speaking out we're taking out the poison as we see and make we dey talk and make we know so we don't talk our own. But it is very sad, but it's not gonna be the last, unfortunately. I know there are kids right now that are going through the same thing this child is going through. Who is speaking from them? Put children at okay. Imagine someone treats their own child like that. Imagine what domestic staff is going through. Imagine. You see what I'm doing? Imagine what domestic staff or employee.
What's the employee they go to?
One that will be saying that I regret giving birth to you. Since you came into my life, there's been misery. I curse you, you are a miserable child.
And if you notice, you will see that it's always mothers to daughters. They treat their sons better. If there are any sons here that will want to dispute this, please, I beg you, come and dispute.
They treat their sons because they're trying to get the love when they not get from their papa. If you notice, those women when they treat their sons better, the love when they not get from their papa, now they try to collect from the sons. That is why most women, Nigerian women, they want to born boy. That even if the man says, okay, Tiri, I'm all right with 2 girls, it's all right. Now let girl we right. The women go say, no, we must get boy. Why? Because that boy go come be like husband for her.
Yes.
So the love when they not get from the man, they'll come they collect them from the boy. Now it make it be like say that they spoil the boys. This is the reason. There's a deeper reasoning behind it.
Common sense sisters, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I hear you, Jane.
What do you guys have a specific question for me? Sorry, I had to put
No question. I guess as people are talking, there may be questions will come to my head. This one is free speech for the useless mothers, and they will just be celebrating happy mothers. That mothers they kill them over there.
They're trying to look for kids for Mother's Day.
Oh man, I don't honestly when you guys were reading that story, like I felt so emotional that I could actually like feel my eyes were welling up because I don't relate 100% to her story, but I feel that sense of feeling like you're isolated from your family and you don't feel like you really belong, and then your parents are not really listening to you and all that stuff. It's a very, very familiar feeling, just kind of reading her story and just feeling how helpless she was. I don't know. I think there's just where do I even begin? So I like to use my own story as almost like a jumping off point for this situation. So my situation is not this bad in terms of like relationship with my parents, especially with my mom. But there is some overlap there where there's a lot of trauma that is passed on and inflicted on the kids, whether knowingly or unknowingly. So in my instance, when we were growing up, because I'm not the only child, there are a few of us. When we're growing up, like some of the things that you're actually talking about, like your parents saying or your mom saying like really terrible things to you. I experienced that, like incredibly terrible things that I still sometimes like I shudder when I remember some of the things that were said to me. And for a long time, it's funny, but it's not funny. For a long time, I actually didn't think that I was like my parents' kid. I thought that I was like adopted, like my other siblings were like the real children, and then I was like maybe like a spare kid that they found somewhere. Maybe that's why I felt that sense of isolation. But like I always said to myself, I'm like, if I ever have kids, like I'm never ever going to be like the way my mom was. I'm going to make sure that I listen to my children, I love them, I make sure that they feel loved, and I say positive things to them all the time. Um, so anyway, because of the way my family was kind of structured, I never really had a lot of interaction with my mom's siblings until when I was much older. And I then saw how they were interacting with their children. And I'm like, oh, like I could actually feel as an adult, I could actually feel like triggers of how like I would remember how my mom would interact with me because I'm a little bit older than the my
Cousin.
sibling. Yeah. So and I would hear some of the things and I'm just like, oh my God, like, and it would remind me specifically of like what happened to me as I was younger. And I'm like, the only common denominator between my experience and what my cousins were currently experiencing was the fact that they had the same mom. And then I started putting two and two together. And then, you know how like African parents will be telling you some stories of what their mom, their mothers did to them when they were small, like it's some badge of honor. And you're like,
Yeah.
that sounds incredibly toxic and terrible. And
Manipulative.
I'm like, wow, like, okay, I'm beginning to put two and two together. And I'm like, you know what? And I'm not going to lie, I had a ton of resentment from my mom. Like a lot of resentment because I'm like, why would you even bring me into this world if you're not like, why would you see this kind of things to you? And then I started to empathize with her, which goes back to what Omiye was saying earlier, is sometimes some people don't know how to be parents. And the only way they know how to be parents is how they've experienced being parented. Now, it would take intentional work on your behalf to recognize that perhaps the way I was raised is not normal. Hence, I should be proactive and take these steps to make sure that my children don't experience the same thing. Unfortunately, we don't really have the foresight in our society to really think logically about these conversations. It's just, oh, 9 months later after your wedding, they're already singing. 9 months later, the children will come, and it's like, are you actually ready for those children that you're about to have? So, I get it, and I'm not trying to like defend the parents in any way, but there is just this common thread of toxic parenting, toxic motherhood, lack of empathy, lack of being able to emotionally connect with, because the only person that can really teach you what it means to love like a mother is your mother. And if you don't know how to do that, where else can the child go? So there's this thread that is just, of people just passing on consciously or unconsciously their toxic backgrounds, their toxic way of living. And even now that I'm sounding like, oh, I know that I have maybe some traumas and some triggers, and I think I've said this before.
Yeah.
Even though I sound like I know, like I should be aware, and I've known this, I said this from when I was young, and I would tell my siblings all the time, I'm like, if I have kids, I'll never do this, I'll never say this to them. And then when I, started having long-term relationships, I saw myself repeating some of the things that I saw in my own mom, and I said, I never ever will I ever. I just saw myself exhibiting those things, and I'm like, and it scared the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie. That was one of the main reasons why I said doing therapy in the first place. Is like I said, seeing those like red flags, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. If I'm thinking of bringing children into this world, I have to be conscious of those things and nip them in the bud right away before I even think of having children of my own. But unfortunately, not everybody has that luxury. Not everybody has that level of insight to say, okay, like I have to be really intentional about how I'm bringing my children into this world. But unfortunately, that's the society that we live in. But yeah, sometimes. And then another thing that I said earlier is I don't think everybody should have kids. It sounds controversial, but I just don't
It's
think
true. There's nothing controversial about it. I've always said, and this useless people be saying children are gift from God. No, you fuck to have them. For those who do
For the consensual relationship.
for the consensual relationship.
Yeah, yeah. Not everybody should have kids. And when I first moved to diaspora, like I would see people that would tell me, oh, like I never want to like, I'm not planning on having kids. They're married. They've been in marriages for years and years and years. And you're asking, oh, so how are your kids? And they're like, oh, I don't have kids. And you're like, oh, where do I go with this conversation? And then they're like, we didn't plan on having kids. And I will be so judgmental. I'll be like, because of my, mentality from back home, it's like, like, how will you be married and not want to have kids? But then the more I think about it, some people just are honest with themselves. Some people don't know how to think about anyone else but themselves. They're inherently selfish.
Not to cut you short, but I want to also tell you that I was also on that part. This was in my gender and the law studies class, and one of the videos was about women taking charge of their body, and not everyone wants to have kids. And I also struggled with that in class because I'm a Nigerian girl. What do you do after school? After school, if you find work, for those of them that have NYC and go through all of that in Nigeria, then you get work and you get married. After married, in 9 months' time, we'll come visit him. What are you waiting for? It's for a child. So for me to be in class and also be hearing, there are women who are also married or single and say they don't want to have children. It was like, why will you be a mother and you don't want to? Why will you be a woman and you don't want to have nurturing spirits in you? Are we not supposed to be nurturers and all those things?
And that's the thing about breaking all these gender stereotypes that we put upon ourselves. It's, women are nurturing, and when people start generalizing and saying women are holy, women are this, and I just I shake my head because that's not true. That's not the case. We are trying to force people that don't have it in them to actually be selfless, because to be a parent, you have to have some sort of selflessness, some sort of ability to put somebody else before yourself. And unfortunately, some people don't know how to do that. And that's the instance of bringing it back to this story. Your child sends you a picture of a sniper and saying that she wants to kill herself, but you cannot remove the fact that you're upset about money. Are you kidding me? You can't remove that and put that above the fact that you're about to lose somebody that you actually brought into this world. So your public image, the only God knows how much money. I'm sure is not like if they tell you
there's even no proof that the girl took anything, and they were willing to arrest her.
Yeah, there's no amount of money, right, that would even justify that. So you're putting that money. You're putting your personal perception of how people want to, see you in society, and I don't even know, your irrational. You're putting all of that before your child, and I'm like, should people like that actually should be having kids in the first place if your child sends you a picture of them about to take their own lives? So I don't know, is there a solution to this?
The solution is to not have kids. Like, if you don't have. Look at people. There are people that even struggle. People that even deserve
and it was
children.
the guest mother and her grandmother that were tormenting.
There are people that deserve children that cannot have their own. They are struggling to have their own. But some fertile people just think that because you are fertile and society, somebody must call you mama. They must sing spit more order for you. Therefore, and if it's not in you to be a child, for example, like to be a mother, you know you don't have those feelings. You should also not adopt. Because it's also not about bringing them from your tummy. Exactly. You should not collect children from your siblings, because you have people who go and stay with their aunties and their aunties
and they turn them to slaves.
In fact, you should not have anything to do with children, anything whatsoever. You can be doing good to everybody in the world, going to orphanages, giving money and all those things. But another thing to be like Oprah. Another thing too is that even Nigeria does not have helplines. For example, suicide prevention line and all those things that. There are popular ones. For example, if you call 911 now or 311, they will direct you to something if you're thinking about something bad. But when you're in Nigeria, it's like the whole world is against you. Yeah. There is no information. There was nobody that this girl could talk to. How can you, as a mother, your daughter will send you all those things? You will listen to her say those words. I think the mother does believe that the daughter will keep on taking it. It's like, I've been doing this to her for many years. If she says she wants to kill herself, she will not kill herself now. She knows that when next you kill herself is to go to hellfire, because that's another thing. Yeah. There are some African parents that will listen to this story and they will come and say, useless. They don't need to attack their co-parents, their idiotic co-parents. They will come and say, but why did they kill herself now? You know what will happen if you kill yourself? You know what the Bible says about this? So it's like, there are so many knots that were not even screwed. I don't want to say that they are unscrewed, because they were not even screwed in the first place. As a people, I think that we have lost all the way. Everything. It is finished. And you cannot even have a decent conversation with people that are currently mothers, or people in those in those generations. You can, and even we see it in our own generation too.
Yeah.
With some mothers who are repeating that same pattern with their children. They are not like proactive like Jay, who is going for therapy or saying that I don't like this thing that happened to me. I'm seeing patterns here. How can I work on myself before, if eventually I choose to be a mother one day, so that I can be prepared? Because it's a whole human being. And if mothers are producing damaged children to the world, they are coming into the society damaged. The whole society is going to be damaged. So at the end of the day, we cannot escape this problem. So
Exactly. Sorry.
Go on, please go on.
So, Jay, so sorry about your experience. Air hugs to you. I'm very glad that you're doing the work that you need to do. And my hope is that you continue to be stronger and can continue to work on that aspect of yourself. And as you do that, I hope that you also find deeper and deeper levels of love for yourself and for everything that's around you. And I just want to say that there's some women, because I've met some women who are, they're very, they love kids. They're very, what's it called? Selfless, very selfless in everything that they do, but they choose not to have children because of one reason or the other. Maybe because they have unsettled trauma from when they were young that has affected them, and some of them just told themselves, look at the world, look at what's going on. I don't even want to I don't see myself bringing a child into this world. So there's so many reasons why a lot of women would not want to bring children into the world. Those that have thought about it and considered it, there's so many children that need love. You don't even need, if you look around, if you have the capacity and it's in you to love, there's so many that are desiring of the love and that one can give that love to. There are people who don't have their own children, but the way they take care of other people's children, you'll be like, wow, they are mothers to communities and nations. They're not just mothers to 1, 2, 3, or 4, So as far as Nigeria is concerned, I think that unfortunately, if the work does not start with self, if each individual in Nigeria does not take it upon themselves and begin to unlearn some of these things and realize that, man, this is not the way for us. So unfortunately, it's gonna, I don't know when, maybe to be like future generation that we'll never know when the change is going to happen, because these things are not just happening in the cities. What about if we go to the villages, the towns, the horrors that are going on there? We can't even touch that one, first of all. The one that we are talking now is CTO. It's people in the city that have a time to be on Instagram and TikTok and the rest. The ones in the village, the stuffer is not here. And the way they think and see these things, there's no way you can explain it to them, because they're so set in it. Like, well, this is the only way we know. What do you mean? I went through it. I survived it. So who are you? You know what I mean? Exactly. So it just continues and continues and continues. So without the necessary work, you choosing to say no, right? I would say I cannot lose hope for those people, because my dad grew up in the village. He didn't know better. He grew up in a village. He grew up into a family that didn't care. My grandfather had so many children, he don't care. Wait to consign them. He didn't even bother training them in school, nothing. Everybody found their way, somehow. In the process, he lost some children, it didn't affect him. You know what I mean? So, but my dad didn't want his life to be like that and said, nope, I don't want to have children and not be able to take care of them. If it means that I have to go and sell bangolo on the streets, my children will not starve. I must give them everything they need, right? So what does that mean? That means that it is possible for people to do the work for themselves. Yes. Because my dad is a typical example of a man that grew up in the village, no hope, as in there was no hope at all. But he was able to take himself out of that And we think about how many books the man read. He was able to rethink and re-strategize and say, no, my children, my dad spanks us, he cries. He cries, but if you see my man, my papa, my dad, they said everybody thought he looked like Ojuku. He had that scary look. You won't know that he's a soft man inside. You understand what I'm saying? So I think everybody has the capacity to learn, to unlearn these things, but you have to decide to do it. No one else. It's not by the school you go. It's not by how educated or how. So you have to come to that point where you say, I don't like this. This does not leave a good taste in my mouth. No, there must be another way of doing this. And then you start to unlearn. And then you see people around you that are doing it somewhat correctly. You take some of their own style and add your own sauce to it and keep it moving.
I agree with that. You know, one other thing I wanted to say is around like there's so much pride, especially when people start to challenge, you know, the African way, the Nigerian way of raising kids, is because sometimes I've seen conversations where they're like, oh, you're not supposed to like hit your kid when they do this, or you're not supposed to say this, or you're not supposed to do that. And then the first thing you hear is like, yeah, now wow, you're becoming a Oyibo. Yeah, it's our African way. There's so much. It's easy for us to say, and I totally agree with what Omaya was saying about, like, you know, unlearning and be intentional, because, you know, that's essentially what I'm trying to do. But sometimes the pride is just too much. You can't set aside your pride to actually open your mind to a different perspective. And I think while you are, you know, committing to unlearning, also be willing to set aside your pride, you know, be willing to be open-minded, and challenge, and be willing to be challenged on what you think is normal. Because even this conversation that we're having, some people are like, oh yeah, like, oh, like you're already, some people are already defensive, like, oh, of course I'm a good parent, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but like, are you really? Like, take some time.
You ask your children to honestly tell you, and they told you that.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Do you think that you know, they're actually just around you because they genuinely, you know, love you, or they're just doing it because they think, you know,
They don't have a choice.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Like we
African parents, there are many of them,
and they lie a lot.
And the African parents, they lie
because there's no
even
there's
the
no social
good
media.
ones, they lie to their
Social media.
They lie and make you question your behavior.
Yeah.
I've said it on, I think it was one time, one video I said it. Me, I'm a very outgoing and outspoken person. I've always been like this as a child. And I've always been, so you cannot double cross me, not my nature. But when I was growing up, I'll be hearing, oh, as a woman, no go to talk like this. Maybe people know they do this for me. Oh, you have to be this way. The thing they mess up with my brain, because this is what God not give me height, gave me a mouth. And so I have to use it to defend myself. Only for me to go for wedding, where my mother's classmates open her and were saying that this is your mama, and sharp mouth and all those things. So I said, I said, why do you make me feel I'm crazy? When you were very outspoken. Especially for the girl child, when you were very outspoken and all this, why is this perception of you have to be perfect so that these people can see you in a certain way? Why do I give a hoot?
Even if you have something negative to say it in a positive light.
Yeah, they come and tell you, say
it's about the receiving gifts.
No,
hey, you're stressing me out.
And I started telling my parents that I don't care what anybody thinks.
Give a hoot. See,
they struggled with it with me at first. Yeah, you don't say this like that. I told my mama, say, I don't care. Till today, they got used to me saying that. If it's going to disturb my peace, I do not want it, please. I don't care. Even you to the parents, if you do anything, I will set my boundaries. Because when you are going through the pain and torture in your head,
nobody's there.
You can't even talk. Nobody's there.
How can you even explain it?
It can drive you nuts because they will. Why are you talking like this? Jesus Christ is the way. Go and talk to a pastor. Go and talk to this. Maybe there's some spiritual distance. Spiritual what? Spiritual what? Oh, maybe there's a. Well, when you bring the idea of therapy, oh, God forbid so.
You know, not tell people our problems.
So Let them not come and shame us.
Like Jay was saying, defensive, there's no way. So people don't even,
You can't
they
reason.
just choose
So you got to
that
set the boundaries.
they enjoy the box that they are in.
Yes. And they want you to be inside that
They
same box.
want you to be
Because
there.
they want you to be a certain way that the society thinks you should be.
Society that don't give a damn. The only society that Nigeria should be caring about is Nigerian government.
Mhm.
Those are the people that you should be dragging.
Mhm.
Those are the people that you should be
Parents,
dragging.
Africa president,
International disgrace. International disgrace. Those are the people that you should care about. But no, before you talk, they say you should obey your parents. Forget that they say, don't provoke your children to anger. But every day, every second, African parents, they poke. They're like that Facebook button. They poke and they provoke to anger. But they expect us to be sponge that we keep on taking. Sponge, after water don't full and it drip. After some time, you cannot take it anymore. It's too heavy. That's why you have kids like this that go and take their life. And the country does not even help. You know how we used to say about it?
Not just
we don't know that Nigerians can take everything. You know, Nigerians before Nigeria will commit suicide before this one. So it's because there's no statistics. There's no proof. We know they see them. People don't share that. So people don't talk about it. Sometimes there's something will happen. Some people will come and say, instead of to tell the truth what happened to your child, they'll come and say,
they'll be judging
your timely death, or this one happened, this one happened.
God give it and God take it.
God take it. It's like, I don't understand this kind of mindset.
Then they come and tell you that child is a gift from. Okay, so if you believe that child is a gift from God, are you not supposed to take care of the gift?
Is this how you treat your gifts?
You know,
and I'm echoing this thing, mother. See, that's the first story, 4 generations of
this one, two generations.
This one is three. Because it's the girl, the mother, and her grandmother. They were accusing her of stealing the money. How can you be a woman? Being a woman in Nigeria, you already know how hard it is being a woman in Nigeria. Why are you inflicting additional pain to your child?
Narcissistic mothers. And many of them, everybody know whether family or no family member. Me, I don't care. If I tell you that this thing you are doing is annoying me, and I do not like it, if you keep trying to defend yourself for the pain you are causing me, you're the block.
People have to protect
I'm
themselves.
not for that. I don't care. I dey block. I dey distance myself.
People have to protect
and
themselves.
nobody can use religion to come and tell me that, your parents will pray for you so that the blessing will come. Forget about it.
Or if your parents should cause you this and see, these are life work. So all those parents are blessed or whatever. Yes, they are good and everything. Yeah, for people who also parents are also be cursing their children. You also think that your mouth you can also proclaim blessings, doing different things with the tongue. What did they tell you in your spiritual realm? But to think, and some children they've also conditioned them to say. So even if you even travel abroad, your brain and your mind is already trapped in a box. For example, Nigeria, you cannot go out without telling your parents that you are doing this thing. You cannot take any decision on yourself.
Have you gone to church?
You are raised to be under them and to always please them.
Yeah.
But until, like Omoye and Jay was saying, until you learn to choose yourself, and it's very, very difficult
lonely
when you are breaking away from that decision. Don't expect anybody to understand you. Expect them to be against you. So that when they're against you, when the time comes, you will say, I'm not saying your head go touch me and I will behave this way. I'm ready for you. But you will not catch me in this light.
No.
You want to provoke me, today is not your day. I'm hanging up on you. I'm blocking you. Because parents are also human beings, but when they raise us, they make us see them as gods. As people that cannot make mistakes. So you'll be questioning and say that this woman, they always say, after I carried you for 9 months, I'm doing this. So after you carry the person for 9 months, why would you be doing this?
You see me that you went through that pain.
Why would you be doing this? So women too, they cannot, as much as they say women are supposed to be nurturing and be emotional. We know they see emotional women in all these kind of things. So where was these mothers and grandmothers? Where were their emotions? Where was the soft spot? You know how they say mother has soft spot. A mother's heart is like soft spot for their child. It's always, and Omoye has broken this thing down because I used to always want that thing of generational trauma, and it's always between a certain gender, a certain women, mother-in-law is now mothers to daughters, all that. Now it's also another thing of they will love the son because they see them as this is one man that can never disappoint me. So I'm training in this way, but you keep on adding problems to your child and your daughter. Like women are there suffering in Nigeria. You're there bringing more trauma on your female child.
This guy say, as a parent, I can curse, I can bless. Why are you keep quiet? When did God not want to make you happy? No go happen.
So that thing of blessing, because I don't believe if you're a bad person, bad will happen to you. It might take a long time, like people in the Nigerian government, but bad thing, if it happen to you, it's a law of karma. It will work. Nobody can curse. If you are a good person, Nobody can curse you.
Nobody. What will happen to the orphans?
Who is another fellow human being to curse you?
Mhm.
Who? A fellow human being, also born of a woman, to curse you, including your own mother or your this thing. If I say, you know how many children they curse their parents? And like Jay was saying, you think that your children are just there, that they because they love you. No, they don't have choice. We give children don't have choice. If this girl get choice, she will not cut off everything now. If she had something to, if she had something to hold on to.
Let me take it to the West here. If she had choice, right? You know that many of them now, even if the other they will get into drugs or they run away from the house.
Or they become drunkards.
Oh my, I know you want to say something. Let me just say this thing first. There was this guy, I think he was telling his story on Today's show, YouTube, right? Yeah. So this guy, his parents, they were staying in Port Harcourt. His parents, the home was not a good place for him at all. At 10 years old, he ran away from Port Harcourt to Lagos. Found himself in Lagos.
You know, you say the parents, they look for him.
They did not look for him, found himself in Lagos. Then one call girl, like an Ashawo lady, was the one that, because it's an Igbo guy now, Igbo boy, then took him in.
Helped
him for a couple of months.
So her co-Ashawo prostitutes.
We're telling her that you cannot be, the rule is you cannot have any male gender inside this place for our own safety and all that. She had to let this boy go. He now met another person from whether Barbing Saloon or whatever.
Barbing Saloon, that was his fellow
Igbo brother.
He was supposed to be teaching him the Barbing and just helping him. This useless Baba was molesting this young man.
Yes.
So it's like, where was the mother that gave birth to this 10-year-old?
They did not look
when
for
your
him.
child was running away from the house, why were you not going crazy that my son, no, I cannot live without my son, all these things.
So the guy is I think he dresses celebrities and all those stuff, but you can see that.
You can see the trauma.
He was trembling when he was even talking about his story to Trudy. That's what Omoye was saying, that they go born plenty children. Even if they die, they don't care. They don't care. Well, Omoye, say something, please. I'm sorry for making it.
No worries. I actually didn't know that I had it on. I was listening to that. Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, this is something that, unfortunately, let me because I'm solution minded. No matter how terrible a situation is, I always feel I believe very strongly that there's always a way out. But it has to start with the conversations we're having, and then further conversations that will take place beyond this place that we have. You know, we have to keep talking about these things because they're very important, because you don't know who's going to listen to this and who's going to internalize it. God knows there's certain things that I have found, you know, through reading books and, you know, doing my own research and all of that. It's made me a much better person. So that's why I said this work is an individual work, you know, and I think that this is the reason why the Nigerian society is in the quagmire it is in right now, because people have not taken the time to do the work. Everybody's thinking within the same box. That's four corner. That is it. They cannot bust out of that box and say I beg and throw and clear the box and throw it away. It's almost like they can't. It feels like they are trapped in there, but there's nothing trapping them. It just takes you saying, you know what? I know where I'm coming from. I know the types of conditions I grew up under. Because this happened to me, I don't want someone else to go through this. So if I see someone around me who's experiencing this, I will speak up for them. I will stand in the gap for them. If I have more power, I will speak for those people that don't have the power to speak. So it has to continue like this, even though we know that we're in a dark place in our country as it is, you know. But we can also do what we can to push things forward, to make people, to force people to look within. You know, they always say, there's a saying in Chinese, I don't know how to speak Chinese, but there's a saying that says the solution that you're looking for is within you. It's within you, and it's so true. Because if you sit down and you think about it yourself, if you look at, even in the situation, no matter how terrible it is in Nigeria, where people say, oh, you know, I don't have job, I don't have work, I don't have food to eat, you know that there's a solution to that. There is. The reason why people are not thinking like that is because everybody is linear minded. They're thinking, oh, I have to get out of here, I have to go to Lagos, I have to start working a white collar job, or I have to be a comedian, that's the only way I can make it. No.
People don't have minds of their own.
Yes, you can thrive where you are. You don't have food, plant yam, plant cassava, grow them, use it to feed yourself, sell the one you can sell. You want to go back to school, you can't afford, because I went to school with people who were farmers, literally. They go farm, sell their product. The money when they fee pay school fees, then they will pay small. If not only one term they fee pay, they go pay, go back. You understand?
Yeah.
Sell again, come back. Some people were palm oil tappers. Everyone they go call tap palm wine, palm kernel. Exactly. That they sell, they go school. So everything has the capacity to change. The
Yes.
problem here is that a lot of Nigerians not ready to do the work. Now hard work, oh, to look inward is hard work, and it's a lonely, lonely journey.
And it's very
Lonely,
long.
very lonely, but it is worth it, because you come out on the other side a different person. There's nothing you cannot take on
Yeah.
once you come out on the other side. So this is the problem I see. And I think that people should be encouraged to look within. If somebody comes with a problem, ask them a question. So what do you want to do about it? What do you think is going to work for you? Okay, you have 15 naira. With that 15 naira, what can you do with that 15 naira right now? What is around you that you can use that 15 naira for?
Yeah.
Do you know how to plait hair? Do you know how to farm? Do you know how to, what do you know how to do? What skill do you have? What
Yeah.
is in your hand? What can give you immediate food? Can you fry akara? Can you do moi moi? There's so many
They're
things,
not
but
ready.
because
People are not
They're
ready to
not
do the work.
ready. They're not
You're
ready.
right.
It's not, you know.
go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm not going to lie, and I agree with you on my. It's a lonely road to actually
Very.
look inward and take the time to actually to review and revise what you have experienced, how it has shaped you into who you are right now, and how does that jive into where you want to go. It's a very tough. It's isolating, because once you start unpacking those things, the emotions are all over the place. You feel angry. You want to say a lot of things. It's a tough road, but I recommend it to anybody, whether you're Nigerian, whether you had toxic parenting, whether your parents were the best, whether whatever it is a necessary decision, because you don't want to end up being halfway through your life and you're just like, who exactly is it that I was living for? Who was I actually living my own life? Um Yo-Yo was saying something earlier about, like, you know, choosing to set firm boundaries with your toxic family members is tough. I'm not going to lie, it's
It is.
difficult.
I agree.
It's
I
very
agree.
tough.
But you know what? It's worth it. If you want to live a full and well-rounded life, you need to do that work of actually disconnecting for a while and see what kind of life you want for
You can
yourself.
survive.
It's not an easy job, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's worth it because at the end of the day, it gives you a full picture of who you are as a person. And I think for you to live a full life, you need to do that work of actually looking inward, looking completely inward with yourself. And if you're able to get a therapist, do it with somebody that can help you navigate that journey. But
Yeah.
it's essential, and I feel like a lot of us from Africa need to do that work. We Some of us are in denial, and it's fine. Like therapy, I just bought into therapy not that long ago. Like I always in the back of my mind thought that, oh, maybe I might need to talk to somebody about some of these things, but I never really bought into it until recently. But you don't have to do it with a therapist if you're not comfortable, but you have to do that work. It is
Yeah.
essential for you to live a full rounded life as an adult, for sure.
For me,
And I
yes,
wanted to recommend the book.
okay, I'm coming before you recommend the book.
Okay.
For me, Jay, you're very right. For me, yeah, it's a very long journey. I've been on some part of that journey. But as for me as an individual that I know myself, I've never been afraid or shy of being by myself. Like I can go to somewhere new, a new country or whatever. I use everything in my brain, but I don't expect that strength from other people. For me, what I do is, if I'm not able to access therapy, YouTube is a very good resource. There are so many audio books written by powerful women, read by these women from even the 60s and the 50s, old books. And I listen to them. Because repetition, I tell myself I have to protect my mind, because anybody that has access to my mind has access to my life. So I control what I see, what I watch, and what I listen to. And who I listen to, the messages I'm getting from them, whether it's from movies or from books. So for me, and I like research, so I would go onto YouTube. Then I start looking for like audiobook. I think one of my favorite ones is the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck or whatever. Then there are books that are written by women. Then I'll be listening to them. After work, if I go to bed or whatever, it will just be playing. You'll be hearing the stories and how they came out of stuff. And I continue feeding into my subconscious. Every time it gives me power. It gives me power. Because what, as Jay was saying, it is so painful when you get to the middle of your life. And then you find that you've been living the life of what your parents expect you to be, not what you are born to be, because you are not you are not working in your purpose and in the gifts that you have, because generation after generation, they've tried to suppress this gift from you. It is a lonely road. Any road that's supposed to lead you to discover your full self will always be a lonely road. That's why when we'll be saying self-love. When we'll be saying self-love, you have to feed into your subconscious, and it has to be deliberate. That is why I'm an advocate of blocking any medium, whether it is on WhatsApp. I do it. I've had to correct some relatives that send me nonsense. I will tell them, this is not right. You are spreading false information. You know, some of them, they stop messaging me. What thing happened? I don't want to be seeing all those things. Those of them that are continuously doing, I archive them. Some of them I have blocked them. It is my space. If you want to call me or send me regular SMS, then do it. But you will not have access, because I have to protect my mind. And one thing I'm afraid of, I always say it this time, is not living in my purpose because of what people will say. And that's where that thing about the whole society thing comes in. But you have to really do the work yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. Like my own.
It's your duty to do the work. You know, because it's going to be for your own good.
Mm-hmm. Right from time, whether I was in second, it's something I've, even before this YouTube came in, something I've cultivated in. You have your diary, write your stuff. Write it. It's your story. Write it. Mm-hmm. Even now that people cannot impatient to write it on your notepad. Mm-hmm. Email it to yourself. Mm-hmm. Get your own electronic journal. Create a folder in your own email and this thing. Write it. Be telling you whatever it is, and store them. Then that's another way of you dumping all those things till you can really afford to get the therapy. But it's something that you have to be deliberate about, and expect disappointment from people you do not think will ever disappoint you, because that is the reality of life.
Because they're human beings and they will disappoint you, even if they're brought into the world.
They will. Mm-hmm. A couple of them, we can recommend the book.
Mm-hmm. And even before I recommend a book, I also going to say that nobody has the right to make you feel less than yourself. Mm-mm. Nobody, and that includes your family, your parents, even your children, mm-hmm. because there are some toxic children. Yes. But that's a story for another day. Today is for the toxic mothers, right? Nobody has the right to make you feel less than yourself. Nobody has the right to be cursing you, or to make you feel bad, or to emotionally damage you, verbally damage you, or even physically, to manipulate you. You should not have narcissists or people who have narcissistical tendencies around you. And the book that came to mind, just wanted to recommend it, because we're talking about this generational trauma, and this one having to do with women. It's this book by Francine Rivers. It's called A Lineage of Grace. Talk about generational trauma from 5 or 4 different women. I think you and I read this book a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And for anybody who feels like reading something, I don't know if it's on YouTube or anything, it's something that you can catch, and you will see how things are like that. And for in this family, for the lineage of grace I'm talking about, you will find that the mothers were mean to their direct daughters, but they were nice to their granddaughters. Mm-hmm. So treatments that they were supposed to give to their own daughter that they did not give, mm-hmm. now that their daughters don't have relationships with them, they are extending that treatment to their granddaughters. And then you find that the new age mothers are hating on their own child because why is it that my mother is giving you all this love,
Yeah.
but she didn't give this love to me?
Oh my God, it's the same thing in my experience as well. Because you know, one of the reasons why it didn't click for me at the onset that there might be some trauma in my family was because my grandma was so nice to us. Every time we would go over there, it's like she was, oh my God, every time like holiday period would come along, we would be so happy. Like if they tell us that we're going to spend time with our grandma, it's like, oh my God, this is the best news. Grandma was spoiler. She's so nice. She was so nice. And then sometimes my mom would be like this grandma that you guys are shouting about. It's not the same grandma. She has really changed though. She's really soft now. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's like an interesting take. But it never really clicked that what she was saying was because of her own experience being raised by my grandma, right? Fortunately for my own mom, she's now trying to be better, although it is taking a lot of work, mostly from my end, to be somewhat welcoming back to her, because I think she realized the impact of some of the things that she did. And I did have a come to Jesus moment at one point, and say, like, guys, like, yeah, I had to call them out, both of them, both parents. And I think that kind of reset, not all the way, but it set the relationship. So now she's like a little bit, she's less of that, even though she still has some of those tendencies and all that stuff. So it's really, it can be really tough. And then one other thing that I would recommend as well in terms of this whole toxic parenting and how to
manage it.
Manage it is, one thing I've also learned is, I feel like as African children, or maybe we just want to, we feel like maybe we should be telling our parents everything. And I feel like as part of setting firm boundaries,
Jay, what are you doing?
Right on, Jay. Please, Jay, please.
And as part of setting firm boundaries, I think it's important, especially when you've identified that perhaps maybe you have had some form of toxic parenting, is to limit the information that you share with them. There's sometimes that like news will happen in my life and I'm just like, I don't know if these people are capable of being happy for me, that they might actually ruin the moment. Because it's happened to me a few times, where I got like a new job that was paying me a lot more money. And like, as soon as I got off the phone with the recruiter that called me, this happened like maybe like 6 years ago. I got off the phone from the recruiter and I was just so happy. Like I was so high with the excitement, and I'm like, let me call. And like the response I received was like, oh, really? Okay. I'm giving you the exact tone that I got. Okay.
That's good though.
Okay. And I'm like, I was so angry. Like I just ended the call right away. And then the next day I was like, what the hell was that? Like, reaction to like one of the best news that I'd had. And then it put a damper on the excitement. It put a damper on, me going into that job confidently, knowing that like people are happy for me, people are rooting for me, people want me to succeed. So I've learned also to guard myself, knowing fully well that, maybe these people, and this is how I've rationalized it, is they don't know any other way. And I understand that, but I will not expose myself to that type of, interaction / communication. So me, I keep my news to myself. I do something, maybe after 2 months, I'm like, oh, by the way, I did this. Oh, by the way, I did that. Oh, by the way, I did this, because I know. So part of these things is learning how to protect yourself, because it's unfortunate. And I feel jealous sometimes when people have parents that like, once you give them news like this, they're like, they are just so happy. They're like, oh my God.
We also don't know what those kids are actually going through.
Yeah, we don't know, right? But like on the surface, you're like, oh my God, like I wish I had this type of, experience. I wish I had this type of, and I'll feel some form of jealousy. And then in my mind, the default setting is to go there and be like, and maybe it's also like my incessant need to receive acceptance from them that keeps me going there. What I've learned over time is, as part of setting those boundaries, is just to be careful the kind of news that you share with them, because unfortunately they and as much as we don't want to, well, maybe we admit it, but as much as I don't like to admit it, they still play a huge role in how we see ourselves in the world and how we present ourselves in the world, consciously or subconsciously. So it's like you have to be really careful that they're not undoing the work that you're doing by always going there, and then you're hitting a brick wall every time. So that would be one of my recommendations as well, is as you're doing the work to, you know, remove yourself and break the cycle, you should also be careful as you're doing that to protect yourself in the process, because it can be very, very traumatic when you're I could tell you stories for days, but
But it's true.
We can relate.
You see when you start talking, we're like, this girl, are you in our, like,
we can relate. And also because, like, parents, you tell your parents everything for the most part, or they raise you to tell them everything. But these same people don't tell you everything about themselves.
That is the thing.
If not, many people will know more about their culture and who their parents were.
Like the one that Jay was saying about, like, if her mom had told her the story of how she was raised, and they have that mother-daughter discussion and all those things, there might be a conversation about that stuff. But
and this Lineage of Grace book is real life,
real life story.
Different that is for white people, but
it's real life story. But the thing is, and Jay is very right. Me, when it comes to there's power in information. Human beings need information for them to act or react to anything that concerns anything in this world. Less is more, which is what we're getting from Jay. As you are doing the
and
work,
what we also live by.
And what
ironically,
my soup go done. I would have finished eating, gone to the toilet to defecate what I want, and the remaining one that will help my nutritional body before you begin any story. That is how I operate. Because if you show me that by your statement or by your reaction or by your body language, when I share something positive with you and you are not, you know, and I can also sense sometimes if somebody is faking it. I have that skill. Then I'm like, okay, it's discernment, common sense that, okay, no, this person shouldn't be knowing as things are going for me.
Yeah.
Because it affects the morale. And the thing is that once energy goes down,
negative energy is
people can suck, negative energy can suck everything away from you, that before you revive yourself again, it's like it takes a whole lot. I think we'll have to be running up, because my own is, I want to know people that, and my question now is, that's coming to my head, is people that are children that are currently tied up in this situation. So they cannot go out to find another house for themselves. They might only be daydreaming of the day they will leave their parents' house and become independent.
In knowledge, like books like this and all of that.
What should they be doing? Like, how should they seek for help? You know, where would they gather the strength to start having the courage to talk? Because it can be a very lonely and cold space.
And it's
especially if you are living,
it's frightening too, because you look at African upbringing, and it's very, very
terrifying. Yeah. Because you have to see these people every day,
and their friends
can bounce into your room.
African parents to their friends too will ride for them.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if you want to complain, you have an auntie for the most part you can complain to. At the end of the day, they will still gang up with your parents against you.
I think Omaya wants to say something.
Sorry, Omaya, please go ahead.
No, that's fine. So you were asking a question like, how do those kids that are experiencing that, right?
Yes.
How do they express themselves? So this is where creativity is highly important, because you're born with creativity, because you were created. So you have the capacity to create, and it's endless. So for those children, and for people who maybe notice something about, kids around them that are going through some type of thing, or one thing or the other, they should encourage them to, if it's, painting or writing, express themselves through their imagination or creative ideas. Because as children, I remember growing up, when I was a child coming up, I was a talker as a child. I was born a talker. I could argue for myself, defend myself. I was Voltron, defender of myself and the universe. So I was very quick with my words too, right? So someone is coming to with me at a certain, I had a way of expressing myself. But when it got to a point where, I found myself in a situation where I couldn't really express myself, I started writing. That's why I developed the skill for writing. So I'll just write. I could write my emotions out very the way I'm feeling it as they come. I'm writing it down, right? I'm just writing. It really helped me immensely growing up. When I went through certain traumatic experiences in my life, that was the way. And I was blessed enough to be able to confront the people that I felt in one way or the other made me feel less than I was. I was able to confront them. That's an opportunity. Sometimes it's a rare opportunity. So if you have a child that's going through that, you want to encourage them. If you know their area of creative skill, encourage them to be more creative, because when you're creative like that, it helps you heal as well. I have a brother who's he draws cartoons. When he's very angry, his cartoons are the best. He will just do a caricature, pa, pa, pa. Now, it's within seconds, he's come up with a fantastic caricature, right? And he would write and write and write, like characters are talking to each other and stuff like that. So it really helped him when he was talking about, because I asked him a question when I was like, "You're very good with this." Is like, yeah, when he's very upset, that's his channel. That's how he's able to bring himself down. Some people will walk away, but he will just start drawing. He just starts to get creative with his hands. Some people will walk away. So I think that helps as a child when you're coming up. And I know that this doesn't apply to every child, because we don't know how each child lives. Some people are in orphanage homes, they don't have access and all of that. Yeah, those are things that, over time, the opportunity will come and we'll begin to encourage each other. And I want to really hit on self-development. Even though it's difficult, even though it's tough, it is necessary as a human being. Otherwise, it's very easy to spend the rest of your life living someone else's dream, living in someone else's reality. And it is not a pleasant thing to find out at the end of one's life that everything you did not do for yourself. I've had the opportunity to talk to old people while they were, on their sick bed, or they've gotten to that place in their life where they can't do anything anymore. You ask them questions like, what do you regret the most? What do you think you could have done differently? And one thing is always constant. Some of them will say, I did this. I wish I did that. I wish I didn't, allow this person have so much control over my life. It doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. Ensure that you're doing the work, because you are the only one that can nobody else can do the work. You can have all the best therapists around you. If you are not doing the work on your own, there's only so much a therapist can do. So I want to drive home that point, that people should pay attention to that. Yes, it can be lonely. Yes, it is tough. It can be tough, but it is necessary as a human being. Just like a child, when you give birth to a child, right? When you see people with there's a newborn baby. That baby, they cry, very uncomfortable sometimes. That's the only way they can express themselves. Then after a while, because they can't move, you have to turn them. You have to change the side they put. But as they grow older, they learn to crawl. Some of them go crawl back. Some of them they leap like a frog. I've seen that, right? But the point I'm trying to make is, but they are developing in their own way. They are pushing themselves to do what they need to do. Before you know what's happening, they are holding on to things and they are walking. And when you try to help them, some of them will say, no, they will do it, but they will fall a million times, they will get up. That's self-development. Then before you know what's happening, they are standing strong, gidiga. right? Before you know what's happening, they are running. Before you know what's happening, they're talking up a storm. That's self-development. So if you look at a child and how a child grows up as an adult, it should not, you should learn from a child. I learn from babies, I learn from children. I learn from my nieces and my nephews. I'm watching them like, wow, look at this boy climbing tree. All of a sudden, the guy is talking up a storm. He's arguing with you. It's amazing to see the development that a human being goes through. So when we're children, something happens that stops you from developing something. Society, people around you, environment, all that can be factors. But once you recognize and you're able to connect to that, you're childlike. That's why I'm always encouraging, don't ever lose your inner child. Your inner child will remind you. I remember when I used to stand up, I would flip over and stand on my two arms. I tried it recently. I was like, oh my God, I remember I would walk a block with just my hands, right?
Wow.
Yes, I would do a split in a minute. And then I said, you know what, I started doing it. I said, I got it back again. It was amazing. Why? Because I was able to take my mind back to when I used to do it and terrorize the entire house with walking upside down. You know what I mean? I mean, these things, they're funny, but it's so, because I find in my own experience of my own personal journey, and this is why I can say this with all the passion that I'm saying it, is when you do the work, it's such a beautiful place. When you come out on the other end, and it's not like you're perfect. Nobody's 100% perfect, right?
Be happy.
You would even love yourself. You will love and value yourself so much that you'll be like, I don't have time. You will call BS as it's coming from a mouth. You can smell it.
Preach. Oh my, preach. So true.
So I have to emphasize all that because, and I want people to be able to think, when you were a child, what were those things that you were doing that came natural to you? Think back. I can remember certain things that I did when I was only 3 years old. I can remember because I've been able to sit and think, and those things that I really enjoyed doing as a child, and I try to reinvent them. Of course, you're not a baby, but there's certain things that you can reinvent. Don't stop being that child that you are. Your spirit, make that spirit alive. Bring that child back alive. And it will help us as Nigerians, especially because of the way we grew up. We can come out of it. There's no human being that does not have the capacity to work on themselves. There's no human being on the face of this earth. You stop yourself from growing. You choose to follow someone else's example or following someone else's footprints. You don't have to. You can set your own pace. You can go in the direction that you ought to have gone. That thing you were created to be, you can be all of that. And there's no such thing as too young or too old. You can get there at whatever. There's an old woman who's over 80 something, and the woman is in hip hop class. You need to see her dancing. You'll be afraid. She'll flip her leg. She will jump. She will dance. Don't forget your inner child. That's usually the trick to working on yourself, and that makes it easy for you even when you're going through the tough times, because like an onion, your onion, you're peeling off layers of you. So as you peel an onion, what happens? You get deeper and deeper in the onion. They see freshness for inside. As you peel the layer, and the thing go, they affect your eye join. That is growth for you. It is a necessary thing to happen to any human being. Don't run away from it. Don't shy away from it. I rest my case.
Thank you so much, Omoyo. You are so right. And one thing about channeling the inner child is that it's like when you're a child, you're not afraid of anything. Nothing is impossible. And I think that's what I'm understanding from the channeling the inner child thing that you're talking about. Like, nothing is impossible. It's like you are free, no matter how difficult it is. Like, there's this thing that
there's always a solution.
There's a solution. I can do it.
I want to quickly add, I saw in the comments someone was talking about child marriage. Okay. No, I'm not even trying to, not in a bad way. Okay.
Over here, in life, You don't pay attention to people.
Things that will take you away from topic. No.
Because it's a live show.
And we are going to be cutting all this part. We are cutting all this part about trauma and what you and Jay have said. So we don't want any gaga.
When we can interrupt on a commonsensical contribution.
We were very, very focused.
Yeah.
Like we have been focused for the last.
We did see the comments.
We did see them. Everybody see them.
We did see them. We don't prioritize things that are not priority. If you get what I mean. You get what I mean. Yeah, that's how we roll here.
No need. If as you dish out wisdom, so we will collect them. Every other person is collecting the wisdom. Yeah. Anybody will not understand the wisdom. They should also go on themselves and self-development.
Yeah. You get what we mean,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I'm personally, I'm very passionate about this because I see what doing a personal journey on your own. Yeah. I see the great benefit of it. And when I look at myself now and I reflect back to where I'm coming from, I'm like, whoa, my goodness, such growth. You know what I mean? Even though there were times, and I hear when you guys were talking about family and setting boundaries and all of that. Thank God for the courage. I was able to set boundaries. There was a time I even told my parents, I said to my mom and my dad, I said, you know what? This marriage issue seems to be very big for you guys. And it seemed like you feel like you have failed because this has not happened and no child has come, nothing, right? I don't have anything to show you guys. I said, you know what? It's okay if you want to disown me. I'm fine. And I meant it. And it wasn't I wasn't saying it out of anger. I was not angry. I was calm. I told my parents, I said, I'm very okay with it. It's not going to be new. It's not like people have not disowned their parents before. So it's not going to impact me. I want you guys to know, even if you choose to do that because I have not done this, it's okay. I forgive you. It's all right. I'm going to be okay. I've been okay all my life. So it's not going to change now. You know what I mean? I had to tell them that because when the pressure got to a point where it was affecting my mental state, I had to set very hard boundaries. I didn't talk to my parents for years because of that. And I don't blame them because that's where they're coming from. That's what they know. So it is the knowledge they have that they were trying to imbibe in us, thinking that that's the best route, right? But having gone through all of that, even my siblings, I had to put everybody in their corner. Till today, they know I'm very unpredictable to them because they feel like, we have to be careful. If we talk somehow, this girl will flip for all of us. And I'm
you for who you are.
Exactly.
Because everybody will be trading like softly.
Yeah, and they know they know the territory, and they know that there's consequences for anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another for people who might have been going through all this. Inyala too is another
sense.
We are rounding up. People are coming.
People are coming now that we are rounding up.
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah, we've been here since, so we are rounding up.
Okay.
So I see Yachman just joined in. So people can make it quick because we are like already almost 2 hours in here. Okay.
So we have Yachman, and then after Yachman, then QJ and then round up.
Okay. I was gonna ask. Good evening, ladies. I was just gonna ask Omoye because I've been in here for a while, but I was just listening. Because it's more like geared towards. I like to hear the female perspective on issues like this. Because it's more geared towards you. But I was just listening from the backdrop. But in a Nigerian setting, for instance, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
In a Nigerian setting, for instance. Everything that you guys just suggested is wonderful, but we don't have that safe space that like a child can go when they feel trapped in a situation like you said. So the abuse, the constant disrespect, there's nobody to go to. Even if the first story you mentioned, like who is the uncle or auntie they're gonna go to? Even the auntie will enforce that abuse. Like if your parents disciplines you and go somewhere else, and even if they see mark on your body, they'll say, what did you do? There's nowhere the person will go to. If they go to church, the pastor will say, it's your parent, honor your parents. If you go to school, your teachers will reinforce that problem. So I think the problem is the best way to get rid of those cultural abnormalities. I don't call them cultural norms. I call them cultural abnormalities. Is through government policies. That would be
before you get to before you get to government policies, there's individual work. We know that there are. We know we are aware. If we keep focusing on the difficulties, then it will look like there's no solution at all. It seems to be here for a long time, so which means that you've been hearing the contribution from Omoye and from Jay. And when I deliberately asked that question,
because we know that
for kids who are trapped, and we have kids that watch our channel, and I need them to hear from people that are giving solutions. And we know that there are problems. We know that there are uncles and aunties you cannot talk to. I'm aware of that. We know that there are.
And we know that the Nigerian government is.
We know, and I don't care about the Nigerian government. Because I cannot depend on the Nigerian government. There's nothing the Nigerian government has done.
They are also African parents.
Exactly. So the thing is, the focus is on solution for helping somebody wherever they are at the spot that they are. They can start taking that solution for themselves. The ideas, Omoye has shared ideas.
Even Oluremi
in the comment section.
And like reaching.
Channeling the inner
taking
child.
Control of your own mind.
Because the brain, once the access is already in the mind, the person is already in that position. They can't really live in, especially for minors. They cannot really live in.
And
what
remember,
are other ways?
We were also sharing our own story, and at that time, we were also minors. We could not leave home as well.
But I was writing. I don't even care about talking to anybody about my stuff. I'm not a big talker and all those things.
Did we have aunties and uncles?
I don't do all those things. I was writing. So it's like channeling your other natural, what Omoye used to say, like natural skill. So that the essence is that, so that at least the mind can travel somewhere else while you are still in that painful situation, in that same environment that you know you cannot leave. It's like a mind escape. Prisoners do it.
I understand.
We are looking for solutions. I don't care about the government.
Okay. So let me put it in two ways. Everything you've said is right, but sometimes as kids are very impressionable. I think we can all agree on that.
Very true.
It's based on what you're exposed to. So let me say something that's personal with you guys tonight. In Nigeria, you know how you live in a compound and you have many apartments. And I grew up in an environment where it was just normal for you to abuse your wife, cheat on your wife. That was the normal thing. And we were 8 years old, right? And we had a new couple moving, and they would sing to each other about how much they love each other. To us, that was strange. Like, wait a minute, you don't beat your wife, you are singing love songs, people go to picnic. So what we can do to help those people, because if you're not exposed to positivity, I don't care how much you have in anything. If you don't know what it is, you don't understand it. It's not because you've not seen it before. So what we can do is to share that positivity with those people when they see those examples. That wow, so this is what normal is. So you need to define what normal is with those kind of people. When they see what normal is, then that can help them with their inner growth. Because sometimes people don't see that positivity. They think that negative mindset is the normal.
No.
Is the normal. Sorry.
Right. So let me respond to Yakman. So what you're saying is absolutely right. When people have to see something positive in order for them to be able to internalize it and have that hope that, so this is possible, so I can attain it. But the truth is, as human beings, born as a child, you have the capacity, even when there's no positivity around you, to look within and recognize the light that is in you, which is the creative abilities you have. I know people who grew up in the most negative places, no glimmer of hope, no light, nowhere, as in there's not, like, all windows shut, all doors shut. Everything about it was negative. But how did a child
That was my story.
who came?
That was my story.
How is it that a child who there was no hope, had for some reason was able to reach within and say, no, this cannot be. I believe there's something better. I don't know what it's going to look like. But there's something, there's a creative power internally that can help you come out of it.
Okay,
I've
all right.
heard so many
Yachman, can you please hold on for a bit?
Let's let man finish with this point.
That's my story. That's my story Omoye just mentioned. And at the end of the day, sorry, Omoye, go ahead.
So I just want us to say that, because there are a lot of people that are listening to this right now that are not typing, are not right. They don't have the opportunity to come in and call in and all of that, and they are finding themselves in that situation. There is hope. Your hope is within you when you don't have anything else.
That's right.
We do have instances of people who, because they didn't see any better, didn't know any better, they made wrong choices. We know that. Let me give you a quick example, and I'll be quiet. There's a particular person. There's someone. He was in jail. He was locked up from when he was 11 or 12, right? Do you know how he was able to escape? He finally got his freedom. He said to him inside, he did not feel like he was in jail. For him, when he closes his eyes, when he sits down, he sees himself doing things, going places. He knew within that he wasn't going to be there that long, even though he was in jail for over 40 years. This man said he did not feel, he can't even tell you that, oh, I was in jail, this is all I experienced. This. He does not have that. He had a different experience because of what he had inside of him that he was able to tap into. So he had that before he got his freedom. So I'm just saying that because there's somebody here listening that needs to know that.
Because it's also about giving children the benefit of doubt. Because children are wise.
Let me just, sorry, before QJ was going to come, let me just finish this real quick. To clarify.
Thank you.
Like QJ said, I also came from that kind of toxic environment, and I've done I've done pretty well as a clinician, so I've turned out pretty good for the most part. What I was referring to is that I understand that you want to keep positivity there. So I maybe the other part for a different day. What I'm saying is that we are all not that lucky. And what can I do to help those people to channel their inner self? I'm just saying, how can I help people trapped in that kid that I left? That's what I was referring to. I'm not saying it's not possible for them to leave. But sometimes if they see me, like it's like me being a pastor now, and I want to be to a drug addict. If I say, man, I used to be a drug addict before, and I used to be there, it's easier for that person to connect with me because they know I understand that pain.
Okay,
so I get what you are saying. Both of you.
I'm saying that for me.
So let me quickly drop.
Let me QJ to speak, please. I want QJ to speak. The reason why I'm looking at time, right? So I think.
Just to conclude, I'm saying that I'm just helping from my own. How can I help other people that's still trapped in that?
Person who is a survivor of that. Okay, now I get what Yachman is saying.
So it's more like social responsibility. If you've turned out better, be a good example. If you
do
see
better, that's right.
Being a good example.
I mean, it's all been said already, and we're going to keep talking about it. It's not just one show's topic. It's a lifetime topic. It's a lifelong topic. So this is not going to be the only time we talk about this. I met you guys and Omoye's Corner from Obodo Imbos TV, so I have to mention that here. The fact that Omoye said something that I love the most is that we all have this creative creator abilities in us. So we're born supernatural. We are all supernaturals. We are all superhuman. We are all spiritual beings, even before us physical being. So that's the reason why we all have that thing called love in us. There is love in every single person, even the one that is evil, that turned out to become, a criminal or whatever. Everyone was born with at least that, initial creator's love in us. It's the environment that influences us and makes some people choose, either to go the negative way or to still stay positive. So for me, in the environment I grew up in, it was toxic. Even though being born abroad, we went back to Nigeria as children, and even as children, we were able to recognize that this is not real. This is toxic, And my sister and I shared that on a live just last week, I think with Essay Panya. She came on Obodo Yibo TV to express the pain she went through with her auntie. Omoye, you'll know the story. Essay, the one that shared about
Right. I remember her
Auntie
very
auntie,
yeah.
exactly. So I connected with her, and she asked if I could do it live because I went, talk personal with her, and we really talked. And I shared a lot of things, in that Instagram live with her. What I noticed is that that thing within you that God placed in every single child. That's why He said, before you were born, I knew you. I was born to Muslim parents, but something allowed my Muslim parents to allow us to be taken to church by Igbo neighbors. We're Yoruba, but the Igbo neighbors took us to church, Foursquare Gospel Church in Karimo, not far from Mahilara Street. I'm talking about Ojolegba environs here. Okay, so when Whiskey is singing Ojolegba, just think of me. Mm-hmm. When you listen to that Ojolegba narrative,
From Lagos, so we're not going to even know.
Yeah,
We won't
yeah.
even know.
well, I'll put him on the map. He's our brother. Going on with the toxic environment, I found that I had light in me. I knew there was light, there was good in me. And what I did was I remember the songs of people like Michael Jackson when he said, "Take a look at yourself and make a change in the mirror." Starting with the man in the mirror, starting with yourself. What I grew up into a teenager listening to people like Whitney. I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. So if my parents fail to teach me better, I decided I will grow up to teach children. I will grow up to involve myself with children one way or the other. What am I talking about? I'm talking about children wherever you go to. It's not even the one you birth in the hospital. It's not the one you nurture from your womb. It could be just children around your neighborhood. So you can be that light in your neighborhood. You can decide, I'm going to show that love, because you know already that we have this crazy society problems, but you must be a solution provider. You must be the change. So if everyone is thinking, I'm going to be the change, it's very hard to change the world. But there's one thing that I know you can change for sure. You can change yourself. You can say, I'm not going to repeat what my dad did to my mom. I'm not going to repeat what my mom did to my dad. I'm not going to repeat the wicked thing my mom or dad did to me. I will be the change I want to see. And that's how you find that light within yourself. That's how you dig deep into your own root. Because when you look at your x-ray, you don't really see all this, physical. You see like roots in you. The nervous system is like roots, like trees. Because I teach on trees when it comes to, those kind of things. You see yourself as a tree that has deep grounded roots in the love of God. Forget about religion now. I'm just talking about being spiritual.
Yeah.
Knowing that I am more than just this physical body. And I'm more than just this person walking in human form. Now, God has given us this platform called technology. You have a virtual source of, friends you can make online. I've made so many friends online. I'm telling you, I tell people, I don't even miss my physical friends anymore. How about that? Omoye's Corner is my friend. Common Sense Sister, my friend. Obodo Yibo, my friend. All these other great people online, yeah, my friend. So what is my problem?
We made more online friends.
It's very hard. It's very hard to get through trauma. But I tell you, you must put yourself out there. You must be personally ready to develop yourself, even in that in the dark room of the photographers. There's where the negatives are. But they develop pictures from there, from the photography room.
Whoa,
In the
you
dark of the
said it
soil.
all.
If you are planted as a soil, as a seed in the soil, you must go through that breaking. When Tasha Cobbs sings, something's got to break. Tasha Cobbs and Keisha shared. These people sing powerful songs. And in the songs, they say something has to break. Your whole physical has to break. And your spiritual becomes, the one that becomes so rooted in love that even when you're abused, you can still forgive your abuser. Even when you're treated bad, you can still see in them as, you know what? This person probably had a negative experience. Maybe my mom had a negative experience and she couldn't, transform herself, as a butterfly would do. A butterfly going through that pain in the cocoon and going through that pain before they become that beautiful thing you see later on. When people see me today, they can't. When I say the things I've been through, especially with my mom, this year recently we had to have a talk with her because we're all. I mean, I'm 44 now. My elder sister is 3 years older, and my younger sister is 6 years and 8 years younger than I am. So you can imagine we're all, going to 40, over 40. Going to 50. So if we can actually still come out alive and survive all that darkness, and although we have situations of sibling rivalry, where we've noticed favoritism and stuff like that, now that's where narcissistic personality disorder comes into place. A lot of our people have that disorder. It's not an illness. An illness can be treated easily, but a disorder is something that may not be treatable. It's something that you will have to manage around them if you have them as family members, if you have them as fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, or a spouse. So sometimes when children see those kind of negative traits, they take it on like a hereditary kind of thing. Sometimes it's not hereditary; it's what they see. they replicate because they think, oh, it's normal because my dad and mom did this, therefore it's normal for them to do the same thing. Oh, my father and mother beat the hell out of me, therefore I can beat the hell out of my children. No, you can't beat the hell out of nobody. You have to start communication. And these are the techniques we're learning today in programs like neuralistic programming, NLP, when people develop themselves, people who have become coaches today, people who have gone through a lot of trauma and painful experiences, but can still stand on podiums, can still stand in platforms. And I tell people, don't wait for a microphone. Let your loud voice be your speaker. Therefore, you are a loudspeaker. Let your platform be the shoes you wear. Get them in different colors. They're all online. You don't have to get the expensive one. Get the cheap ones. If you can get expensive ones, get different colors to match your dresses, to match your things, and begin your own platform in your own home. All you need is just your tripod stand and your mobile phone. It doesn't even have to be an expensive one. Start small and grow big. That's how you become all that God has made you to be, even before your mother knew you. You were someone before your mother met you, before your mother birthed you in the womb. You were spirit, and you were sent for the purpose to be like your creator, being like Christ-like, being God-like. You are all that you've been created to be, even before you were born, even before we humans knew you. So when you know those words, when you know those doctrines, which are true doctrines, regardless of, biblical or Islamic or whatever traditional, even the Buddhists, they still have, this sense of spirituality. And that's why people like Iyanla, what's her name? Iyanla.
Yeah. She does that spiritual spa.
The word Iyanla is Yoruba, is
I know
Iyanla,
where she got the
big
name.
mother, big mama. That's what Iyanla is. She got that, from the Yoruba, tribe, as an inspiration, going through that whole racism. So we need to remember the real change. Like I will keep on saying Michael Jackson because it's easier to remember these things. Michael Jackson, they call him the greatest performer of all times, even before the likes of Beyonce. Even Beyonce is, kind of like, pays homage. Beyonce pays homage to him. We have to look for that change in ourselves.
Huge. I think you have even answered Yachman's questions in everything that you said before Yachman got off. I think you answered this question.
Sorry, I went to entertain in 2 children's party today, so I've been rocking all day. That's why I just joined the program late.
That's okay. That's no need to apologize, please. Apologize. I think you've really answered the Yachman's question, because we could finally understand where he was coming from, the sense of, if I am a survivor of this thing, how can I reach back out to help those people themselves there? And you have shed light on that.
How to do it.
Working in different tools, you have technologies around you, like, before you even bother about changing the whole world, because that's changing yourself. And you also, another thing I want to add to what you have said is that on your journey and your path, like I said before, don't expect everybody to understand you. And the people that you even want to change because you're seeing bad traits in them, you cannot also force them to change. So it has to be their choice. Yachman might go tomorrow and say he's going back to his neighborhood to do good, but the people in the neighborhood will not receive that. So when you are offering help as well, you have to make sure that the people who you're offering the help to, they also want the help.
And if they don't want to, no vex, just be moving.
You move on. You move on to the next one.
Next person to help.
I also think that when QJ came here, because I guess communication is a skill. I think when QJ came here, it's more like she expanded everything Omoye summarized. Omoye talked about the channeling the inner creativity and self-development.
And let's never downplay the intelligence of children. I even have one example. If you guys remember, I showed you this video. There was this video going around of this Middle Eastern boy on Instagram where his father had guy friends on the dining table, and there was a lot of food and whatnot. And so after the food was served, the little boy, this boy will not be more than 3 or 4 years old, he came and was asking them, when are you people leaving the house? My mom has been cooking for 2 days. You people have to start leaving the house. The adults were laughing. His elder siblings were laughing. Elder siblings, probably at the age of 10, 8 years or whatever, they were laughing. But that's a child that recognizes that my mother has been working so hard. It's unfair that she has to keep serving you all for a long time. That is a child with an instinct that knows the difference between right or wrong.
So they know.
Even as a child, when I started knowing that I knew what right and wrong was, I told you, when I asked my dad, I said, so as a human being, how will I know the difference between good and bad? He said, it's when you have to start hiding that you will know something is bad. Or your conscience will always tell you what the right thing is. So even as children, as we grow up, as we advance, definitely there was suppression from society, suppression from family and everything, but there's always that inner child power. And Let us never ever underestimate kids, because even those of us who are people who are Christians or whatever, what does Jesus tell you about Christians, about children?
Be ye like little children.
Be like the little children,
willing to learn.
For them to get to heaven, no, than for all whatever the Bible and all those things. But we should never underestimate the power of children. And that's why Mama said a good way of healing, the first step is also reaching back to your inner child. When you were untapped, when you were uncontaminated by the things of the world and things of society. And every child has great imaginations. Now, you just come here talking about music. Jay didn't speak about music. Oh, yeah, didn't speak about music. We didn't speak about music. But music is another form of art. Jay used music to help herself through the 80s, through the 90s, through the 70s, and all that stuff.
Yes.
These days,
not be 70, not be through 70s, or not be 70, then born 44. Now 78, then born in a waiting. I be a young girl now. I be a young girl.
What's wrong with the 80s? So if anybody, and let's not forget that it's not only children that are also trapped. They feel like they cannot live away from their parents. Like I said before, there are also adults who their minds are trapped. So you can find that they might have left the continent, left the country. They are thousands and millions of miles away from their parents and their family, but they are still trapped. It's not like in those days whereby you cannot WhatsApp person, you cannot do this. So you have to write letter. The letter will be given back 2 years. No, now right now, people WhatsApp message, you have gotten to your family. So when we think about this, we have to even probably do another live show on this topic.
We have to do another one. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I think we should be rounding up. Because my waist,
we've been here for like about 4 hours.
Yes, and Omoye also came from the first live, like everybody and most people in the comment section.
Thank you so much. It's such a great platform.
Thank you.
I'm happy to have shared with you tonight.
Thank you.
So I look forward to the next one.
Oh, thank you so much. Do you have any final words?
My final words is don't forget, you come first. Take care of you, and then you can take care of the rest around you.
What?
Perfect solution. Simple and
Thank you so much, QJ.
Yes.
Have
a great evening, everyone.
Bye.
Wow.
Omoye, you've been through. Oh my God, this is sacrifice. What are we going to do now? We go see. We go see.
Lipstick don't dry. Everything don't dry.
Oh my goodness.
They're surviving on pancake.
From the first life to the second life, you can't even tell story.
Even that all the wisdom and everything.
You have to cut all these different lives, cut them short into different story points so that people come and hear from you people.
For the lazy watchers that don't want to watch 2 hours.
Because it's important. Yes, it's important. That's why when people come and give your opinion, we don't used to interrupt. Because and people say your truth, we don't interrupt because we have to cut those live shows and put it as separate. When people hear from your voices,
you have to say. If they don't listen to Common Sense Sisters, they will listen to Omoye or Jay or QJ or Yacho or Egosa or anybody that's coming to speak to you.
No, you guys now do well for the life. It's been full of knowledge, and I'm very happy about the direction of the conversations because get people when they go listen to this thing, when they go run with them, and it go help them. And I was very pleased that Yatman that called in, he said he was listening for a long time. So there are a lot of silent listeners out there that don't want to bother to call in, but they are moved by certain thing and they want to join. So this is what it's about. Everybody that has commented, everybody that has shared, I have learned also from everybody that has spoken. For me, I see it as a life of learning. There's no limit. I learn from a baby. I love to observe children. That's my favorite thing. When I'm watching TV and a baby is I'm watching that child. I'm looking at their interaction because children actually give you the best way to live your life. If we lose that, we've lost everything because a child is very expressive. They don't hold back. They will tell you how they feel. And I enjoy watching that. And I enjoy learning and hearing other people's stories because I don't have to go through it to learn. I can listen to other people so I don't have to make the same mistake. I'm very happy that we're able to QJ was able to respond to Yatman because I could not have said it better. QJ said it all, and I hope that Yatman has taken away from it, but it is true. How do you reach back to those people? And it's heavy on my heart. Sometimes when I see what's going on, especially in Nigeria, it breaks my heart. I feel like I'm helpless. What can I do? But I can only start from where I am. I can't do more than myself. So whatever platform you have, like you just said, blow the trumpet. Let it sound far, because you don't know whose life you'll be changing just by doing that. So
even before you even go on, I want to tell you that you are also doing a lot too.
Yeah.
Because you don't only contribute to our platform, you have your own platform as your own
where
you dish out the positivity and everything.
Wisdom.
You also go on this channel, Obodoibo TV. QJ will read your comments after talking. Yeah. You go on Obodoibo TV, Anti-Beast channel, and you dish out this thing. So it's like you also doing, I will call it corporate, not even corporate,
human responsibility.
So you are also doing your own part. So it's even like for people, the people who are seeking, one day they will find it.
Yeah,
they will find it because the materials are out there.
Because that's is also an answer to Yachman's question. Yes. Let me say that now. It's true. I thank you, Ella, for bringing it up. Because now, Omoye, you've walked through your journey. You've seen the progress that
and you're contributing here today. You are
continuously do your work on yourself, but you're not keeping it to yourself. Social responsibility, because Omoye's Corner, Omoye has a YouTube channel. It's called Omoye's Corner. So when we're saying she's also doing it, Omoye's Corner, so you should go and subscribe to Omoye's Corner, so that the common sense will be spreading.
What's the little say? Let the common sense spread like a gospel. Let it common sense gospel.
And when you hear the gospel of common sense from different voices and different experiences, there's no way you will not have sense.
And it's your duty to spread it too.
Yes,
you see. And you see, and sometimes as human beings like negativity. So and this is why I'm talking about self-development, doing the work. Many people will not go and search for and work all this.
What will fill their spirits?
They don't go and search for what will fulfill them. Now the bad ones. Now the bad ones, they go they watch. Things that don't make sense, things that don't have value. That's what people want. Debating and nonsense.
If you are watching us here, you come back and watch us. You want to say, who is this beautiful lady that is talking like this? As you are seeing the name like this, go and type it on YouTube and Omoye's Corner.
Because she's doing
when you see her face and you see the way she's expressing. Oh my God! You will not want to go a day without listening to Omoye's Corner.
Thank you, guys.
When did you know Omoye?
Because in that Omoye's Corner, there is a lot of corner, there's a lot of things to get wisdom and common sense.
So is that you are also doing as you drop your own today for 4 hours and 23 minutes. People will come and learn. When we go cut all the videos, other people will learn. This kind of video, you're not gonna share for WhatsApp. Bad news. That's what we're going to be. They will learn from this one. If they not learn from you for here. When you talk for Anti-B channel, when they talk for Anti-B channel, it's not QJ that came and said she learns from she learns about common sense and Omoye's Corner from Obodoibo TV. What are we doing there? Human responsibility, spreading common sense, spreading solution, and doing all those things just out of our own free will. I know what's been triggering me with what I'm saying because Omoye has said something that I would like to see in fact. Common wisdom is when you don't learn from people.
Now me where I don't talk. Common sense, because now my head don't trigger down my quotes now. Common sense is when you learn from other people's experience. Wisdom is when you don't repeat the mistake. Common sense is when you learn from other people's experience. Wisdom is when you don't repeat the mistake. Because the path has been prepared for you not to go through that long journey, but a shortcut to freedom.
Yeah.
A short, realistic cut to freedom because somebody has walked that path and the person is willing to share in that path.
Yeah.
People better go and be looking for things that will fill your spirit and fill your soul. One of the channels to go to is Omoye's Corner. Short and sweet in that corner. Trust me. If you're having a bad day, I've said it before. The earlier time was started like when you listen to Omoye's Corner, your day will be good. If it's not good, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do to help you because in there, I don't know why you will not want to acquire wisdom.
I don't know.
And common sense.
We are just drawn to negative. You have to twist your brain. You have to twist your brain. Anything that is not serving you, you have to discard it because sometimes if you think that you are internalizing all these things and you are strong. You are chester, you are strong. Until the day you will crack. By then, common sense will tell you, we told you.
We will send them again to either our Omoye's Corner.
And I'm not one of those people that will say I feel bad for saying I told you so. I told you.
I will just say these are the videos you need to watch. These are the channels you need to go to.
Watch all of
when
them.
you finish your assignment, write an essay.
Straight. You have to go to ask us. Me that I'm not a good person. I would like pave the way
not
forward.
Be the channel.
It's not today Yachman has contributed on our channel.
He
has come for other Saturdays. he has also helped some of the men. Yatman is also helping men in his community.
Yes, so
when
Yatman is
Omoye
doing
was
that
talking
job.
about that thing in the first live video of men and men should help themselves.
I wish
Yatman is one
comes.
of the men that is, as what he told us a few weeks ago. He's also helping. So if you also develop yourself too, it's your responsibility to share that knowledge so that we will stop saying when good apple is the presence of bad apple, all the apple will be rotten. Let good apple now be turning bad apple
to good apple. Which by sharing the good. If it doesn't make sense, forget about it.
If it don't make sense, go and eat your fruits.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm not sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, actually, we have laughing, crying here. No, thank you very much. You know, the thing is that this is why everybody that has something to say, to QJ's point, push it out. Use your microphone and be blasting it so that the bad will be silenced. Because when the good is being pushed out, the bad will be reducing. Because the good, those of us who have the knowledge to share and everything, everybody's been quiet. That is why it looks like the entire internet is full of bad. Yeah. So whatever good you have, put it out there. Everybody has something to bring to the table. As everybody needs to do the work, the same way everybody has something to offer the world. You are a solution to a problem that is going on right now. But if you're not putting the tools to use, how do you solve the problem? You know, you see what I'm saying? So we all have a role to play, but it starts with us. It starts with an individual looking inwards. Everybody needs to do the work that is necessary so that you can be useful to everybody else. That is why self-development, looking inward, is very important. It's a necessary and important work. If you don't do it now, you'll be forced to do it at a later stage. Is it not better for you to start doing it now so you don't have to suffer the consequences of not doing it later? You know, and I'm going to end by saying that the reason why we have the leadership situations we have in Nigeria is because we have people that have refused to do the self-work that are leading us. People that have not done the self-work, how do they lead people? It seems like a blind man leading a blind man. That's what
my sister. It is a blind. Oh God, blind man, not even one man. It's more better if it was one blind man. At least the rest we have eyes. This one, it's as if there is no one that have eyes.
Exactly. And then the citizenry that they are even leading are also blind. So you see the problem. So this is why, yes, we say it's hard. Yes, it is, but it is a necessary work. If you don't crawl, you can't walk. You have to crawl before you walk. And you must walk and then run. It is a must. Those are the normal stages that a child will go through. So you adult, you have no excuse. So you must learn whether you like it or not. You know, so I'm going to close with this. I think everybody has said everything. And again, this is a conversation that has to continue. We know we can't stop here. We will keep putting it out there. And thank you so much for these brilliant topics today.
This one today, I think it's even you that will.
Now you will go thank now.
Because now she confessed for the first live show now.
Yes. Now you will go thank. You know,
this is over 4 hours.
You took us to the because we're wondering. We took us to the
foundation.
Wondering,
then we asked the question, and then you started talking about the self-development and everything. All the ideas, even the book that we even suggested, it was not part of the plan. It's as you and Jay were talking, we're like, okay,
we remember
there
that
are different things that we've
books.
done, and we're asking and all this, and then Yatra came and asked the question, and then QJ gave our own perspective. So it's like, it's even is you people that we have to be thanking today.
Because you are extracting the things that even some of them that we've forgotten because we are used to it on our own. We're like, oh yes, this thing can help the community.
And as someone here is talking, silent watchers are commenting.
Yes.
Because I never ever see Shehi Ade before.
Shehi said they were silent.
But we hold on to you to contribute next time.
Yes.
And QJ, thank you for the super chat. We see you.
Yeah, QJ, for the super QJ say.
We are the ones who have been waiting for.
We are the ones. We have been waiting for. We have the good power, the creator's power that's ever present within us. You are
Oh my God.
Let's sing this one.
You don't say when the music lyrics enter us, will they turn
I'm
anything to music?
telling you, I can see in the flow. Like, no, that's so it's supposed to be. And that's true. The more we talk, the more we remind ourselves, say the work in our hand we do, the better for us, the better our lives will be, and the better our societies and communities will be. Because we not the help is not coming from anywhere.
Oh yeah, my helper, oh my helper.
You know how they'll be saying the world is watching. Which world? Which world they watch? Thank you, they wait for world.
Thank you, Annie's flat, and I saw they sing. As I just see the 5 pounds.
Go sing,
go sing, go praise the Lord.
Oh my God.
Oh man, what you go do now? Our people, you go scream, you go shout, you go speak in tongues, so they don't want hear. We just sing. How many people have we break? We have someone wicked to this platform to sing.
People from Israel, special number.
They know the year what, but we will continue to the talk because
we'll continue to the thing as they're stubborn. They don't want here. Now we need to stubborn. We not go stop. That is how we can tackle it. You know, when they say, oh, these people are just doing this, they're just we too. We go put cloth for waist. Say, hey, you don't want to stop? We will continue to shout. Because the truth we say, if the bad they go on and we keep quiet because we they allow them, they silence us, it go continue. But if the good they shout too, the same, in fact, the shouting can't get more power past the bad. They go chill. They go give way, you know, so we not go give up. Yes, take break every now and again, but we cannot let up. Whether they like them or not, the change must happen. Yeah. Whether they want to
positive change, because Buhari don't deceive Nigerians.
We change. Maybe with a specific on the change. Because people don't tell us.
Why don't anymore? Now which change? Then they give us. Now positive change. We got
they see the country with me.
Because of which we will go do shades of evil.
Yes, yes. Now positive change. No matter the talk about before, because I know some people because it is positive change.
Exactly. We need to continue to okay. That's it. We cannot give up. We cannot get tired. We can take breaks, but we should not be quiet.
Yes.
Because the people when they need that day, they feel not talk, but they hear. If they enter their ear. As if they enter their ear, they themselves go, they carry the news, they go town, they cry about them. That's it, oh.
Yes.
So we are all we've got, and we have to make the necessary change, whatever happens. So thank you once again. I appreciate you now. Wonderful topic today. We'll go see you again.
Yes,
enjoy.
Yes, so thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
I wish that day can finish and make my day long. Let's see how my going to enjoy extra hours.
Now the show is over. Plenty common sense have been distributed. If you like, do not listen to the things that we have said. Now you go face your own wahala.
We will come back and tell you we told you so.
If you say you have coconut head, we go tell you say our head not stone.
We get hammer to break that coconut for your own goods.
We will sing it, we will shout it.
And you will single.
Yes.
Common sense.
Yes, because some people say, oh, these people, they are pissing me off. It's my responsibility to piss you off commonsensically, so that you'll be channeling your inner creativity. If you don't like me, or if you don't like people, wait, that's fine. But the message, you gotta take it.
If you don't get it,
forget about it. And you can, if you forget about it, we will come back again. We will come back and slice the video of common sense.
And you go watch that. In fact, you will receive this video on WhatsApp. Somewhere or the other, you go find them.
I'm trying to negotiate with the cloud where we say, you know how WhatsApp people they do message now, they will just say automatic update. People just they hear automatic common sense updates from the common sense sisters and the common sense.
So Alice Platter,
we have
the two Alice at the same time today.
One from Platter and one from Canada.
Are we not blessed? I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed.
I am blessed. Only Remy from office.
Yes, so Remy, we know. thank you. From office, engaging.
I mean, greetings to you.
Thank
you
you
so much.
especially, my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We were
Thank
making
you.
people laugh in the office. I beg.
Thank you
Make
for
them fire.
fire what? We'll go and meet the boss.
We go.
It is their right to laugh. Oh, it's your civic right and responsibility.
Yes,
For what when everybody they squeeze their face.
Silent Waters Association. Your
We greet
job
you.
now is to be forwarding this video silently.
Those of you that are watching
Silently.
silently and you have not subscribed, your conscience, how is it doing?
He go flog you for life too. You have not liked the video and you have not shared. After all this wisdom,
Even when we came with a
You are part of
version
the
internet,
problem.
we go with version internet too.
you are part of the problem.
Version internet.
But you not share good news.
You not share good
Share
news.
this video and subscribe.
Okay.
And before we go, if you're in Canada, you want to eat food and all those things.
Good
like
food.
Good Nigerian food. These jingles.
Item 7. Come on,
For-
this banana. Me item 7.
These jingles is for you. If you're not in Canada, you know people in Canada.
You can be
You can order for
channel
them.
your inner creativity that
Mhm.
someday you will come to Toronto.
No, order
and
for
you-
your people in Canada.
Some people not get people for Canada, so you go. I want you to channel your creativity of hunger,
Yeah.
so that you will have connecting flight when it will be 2 weeks.
Yeah, not
Where
going
you
to
go pass through Toronto and then
Mm.
you order in advance from the Common Sense Sisters.
All right. No, Common Sense Sisters.
From your Militias.
Common Sense
Away.
Sisters. Please don't order from Common Sense Sisters.
Order from your Militias.
Welcome to Yo-Yomi Alicious, the best Nigerian online food service in Toronto, Canada. We deliver to Toronto, Concord, downtown Toronto, Etobicoke, North York, Thornhill, Vaughan, Woodbridge, Mississauga and Scarborough. Order now at yoyomialicious.com. A unique taste of Nigeria. Follow us on Instagram at yoyomialicious. Like and share this video. Nigeria to the world.
Now we have to go and eat so. No, we're surviving on pancake.
We
We
have to
have
go and
chop.
eat.
It's already
We'll
dinner
swallow
time.
this night.
Yeah, we're going to have swallow.
Mm.
And we also wish that you were
Yeah.
yeah.
Adiola, you need to,
Hey,
you need to channel
This
your
will be
inner
great.
creativity.
You have
Oh.
to be great. While I'm under the Toronto. I'm sorry.
You know what? After listening to comment center, then just imagine say after for dinner you have your delicious food.
Your life.
Life gonna do you yori.
Yori.
Anyways,
Let's be right after that.
until we see you all beautiful, wonderful, and amazing people next time. May common sense never depart from you.
Bye, everybody.